for some reason he didn't want to use his first name. He said, "Dear son, I've been reflecting on what's become of us, and I realize how wrong I was. Actually, I was stupid, and I'm truly sorry. I love you. You're a better father than I, and if you're willing, I'd like your help to figure out if we can reconnect again. Love, Dad." Now, I don't know if the son ever responded, because I haven't talked to this gentleman again ever since, but what I do know is that the sense of deep anger and estrangement that he walked into the workshop with had melted, and what he was feeling was a loving connection with his son. And in this way, he had moved many, many steps towards having a relationship fulfilled, one conversation, or in this case, one Father's Day card at a time.
So if an emergency happens, are you prepared? Do you know who to call? Do you have a meeting place? An emergency can happen at any time. You need to be ready. A family's a team. So take a few minutes and put a family emergency communications plan together as a team. Check out labt.org for all the info. Just be ready, prepare together. All right, let's go, come on! This ball is not gonna play itself.
You know, I am getting better. I can still take care of myself. You just don't know.
No. 3 times a day. These drops.
Now that Mom's moved in, life has become a bit more complicated for all of us. We knew there would be challenges, but overall, we're glad to be together.
I don't like to call him in the office when I have to go to the doctor's or if I want to go out.
We're so thankful for the help we received.
Hello, I'm Dr. Scott Kaiser, board-certified family physician specializing in geriatric medicine, and welcome back to The Empowered Patient. Today we're at the Hollywood Senior Center, brand new wellness center, and I'm here with Elio Vivante, my good friend Elio Vivante, who's here pumping iron. But it seems like you've stopped for your...
No, I'm going to go back to it.
Okay, wait.
And these are very heavy, by the way, 25 pounds.
25 pounds. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. All right, so why don't you take a break then with those big 25-pound weights and tell me about how you've been exercising and the importance of exercising.
Well, I have a horror story. The horror story is that for 20 years, I'll begin with the beginning. I used to be an executive minding my own business behind a desk. And suddenly, I discovered that a lot of my clients of my age, I was 50, about more or less, were dying around me. And so I got very scared. I went to the doctor. I said, "Listen, this is what's happening. Is it okay for me to exercise?" He said, "Absolutely. Let me give you some tests." I got the tests. I got the blood test. I got the workout. He said, "Yes, you can go ahead." And I joined a very well-known facility where I started easy, slowly, and I was there for 20 years. Except that during the passage of 20 years, I developed some ailments due to my exaggerating. So I ended up with tendonitis in both elbows, spinal stenosis in my back, neuropathy in my feet. So after 3 years of paying my dues and not going, I decided, why should I continue paying since I'm not going? And so I just simply gave it up. And the result of all this is that I have bum knees. I can't bend over without falling. And the other result is that I have very weak arms and knees and wrists.
Okay, so you told us a lot there, but I think there are a lot of common stories in there. So you were a busy executive and you joined a gym, but you weren't using it.
I joined the gym and I used it for 17 out of 20 years.
Oh, whoa, so you did use it?
I used it religiously. I had muscles like Arthur Schwarzenegger.
Muscles like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, very good, very good. So, but then there was a time that you stopped exercising?
I stopped because of all the things that were happening to me, meaning the ailments. The back hurting, the legs not being able to hold me up, my arms being very...
So you were having a lot of physical pain, a lot of ailments, and you stopped altogether.
Altogether, I just took Advil.
But it seems like maybe part of that was you were exercising too hard?
Essentially, yes. At one point in time, we had a trainer and or trainers, and at one point in time, they eliminated that completely, and you were on your own.
Yeah. All right, let's bring it back to the booklet here. Elio, so okay, so you were exercising for a point, and then you had to cut down on your exercise.
Absolutely.
Did you find you had trouble getting started again?
I have not get started again. I did not get started again. This is my big opportunity. I met you, and now I'm going to start
So
again.
you're just getting started again
Just
now?
getting started again, from
Okay,
scratch.
so how is this, and we have this booklet here, Exercise and Physical Activity.
I have it and I read it, and it's in my car right now.
Okay, good, good. So this is gonna, how is this booklet gonna help you get started on exercising?
Well, it's basically very, very simple. I mean, it gives you very simple exercises which will complement what I'm going to be doing here.
Okay, so you have a whole section here. You went through the first section where you thought about the importance of exercise. Because you have chronic conditions, you consulted with your doctor, and now you're ready to keep track, and you have all these exercises in here. And I see you're even doing some of the upper body strength exercises now, where you have these wonderful photographs that guide you through the exercises for different balance and strength exercises that you can do. So I saw you working with the resistance band earlier, and now you're working with these 25-pound weights, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And are you keeping track of your progress now that you're just getting started again?
Well, after I go home today, I will start to log and keep track of what's going on.
So you're going to take that booklet out of your car and put it on your desk and keep a log.
Absolutely.
Or actually, maybe you'll keep it in your car. Maybe you'll just keep it with you everywhere you go.
Absolutely. I'm very happy. This is on the side. I'm very happy to be here because my higher power sent you to me. We met by accident when I was in Buddy Powell's class, and you mentioned that this was going to be happening, and it did happen, and I'm so grateful to my higher power and to you.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you feel like you're getting a lot out of the program.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad that you took this time to share with other seniors who might be watching, other older adults at home, watching The Empowered Patient, who now know that they can go get this booklet and do exactly as Elio's doing, get started on an exercise regimen, get back on the horse, get going again. So you just call the number below, call and let us know your own experiences, and get your hands on this booklet, and before you know it, you'll be pumping iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger over here. Elio Schwarzenegger.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks for joining us. I'll let you get back to work.
It's my pleasure.
All right.
We are married 53 years.
And
I'm in charge of our health under the directions of my wife.
I'm here with Queen Seal, and she's going to explain a little bit about her chapter and this wonderful store she runs. Queen Seal, tell me about your chapter.
I'm Queen of the Mission City Divas. San Fernando is the Mission City, and we have about 20 ladies who meet on the third Tuesday of every month, and we do other special events too, but we have dinner at least once a month. I do a newsletter for my ladies, and we have a lot of fun.
And just keep everybody active and getting
Our motto
together.
is girls just want to have fun.
Absolutely, and that's just so great. Now tell me about these wonderful creations. You have some great things on this store here.
Thank you. About 5 years ago, I started out just doing embroidery, and I do custom embroidery. And then as I got involved with the Red Hats, I added jewelry, hats, and accessories. Some of the jewelry I make myself, some of the hats I decorate, some of them are purchased, and I resell.
Now I'm wearing one of these lovely creations from your store. Is this something you've made yourself, or is this one of your things you have purchased? No.
Unfortunately, but I loved it, and I saw Kate wearing one when they were showing pictures before the wedding.
Well, there we are then. If it's good enough for Kate Middleton, it's good enough for me. That's for sure. Now, tell me about this custom embroidery, because I see lots of you red hatters around and you've got very elaborate shirts and jackets with fantastic embroidery. So tell me, Seal, what happens? What do you do?
Well, I customize. If somebody tells me what they want, the name of their chapter, and I customize things for them. I make tote bags, shirts, seat covers, because Red Hatters go on a lot of bus trips. They need seat covers for their trips, and also for the various luncheons and things they go to. It reserves their seats for them. So
Oh, I see.
I do a lot of personalized.
Okay.
Would you like to see the back of my jacket?
I certainly would. Okay, Red Hat Cowgirl. I mean, how fantastic is that? So this is all, is this machine embroidered steel? How is this done?
Yes.
Look at this, viewers. This is just absolutely beautiful work here. So if any of the viewers were interested in having a custom design, you're the lady to contact.
Right. And the reason it's reversed is because it is my birthday this month.
Oh, yes, you're in
And
the...
I'm wearing a purple hat and red clothes. So we celebrate all month long, and we reverse our colors during the birthday month.
That's just wonderful, and very happy birthday to you,
Thank
Seal.
you so much.
Great to meet you today.
Good to meet you.
And
Thank you
viewers
so
can
much.
contact you
Yes.
if they're interested in the custom embroidery.
Absolutely.
That's just wonderful. Thanks so much, Seal.
Thank you.
As a family caregiver, one of the biggest challenges is learning to manage our stress. Stress is what happens when we are overwhelmed, having more to do than what we can handle. And so we need to find a way to manage stress. But oftentimes that's easier said than done, isn't it? So let me tell you a little bit about how you can work on it. First, you need to recognize it. Try and figure out what is it that sets you off? What is it that starts to raise your stress level? What are some of the signs that the stress is coming in? Is it because you feel more irritable? Because you cry a little easier? You snap at people? Or you withdraw? You need to recognize the symptoms so that then you can start taking some steps towards correcting it. Identify the sources of your stress. Is it that you feel you have too much to do? Perhaps you need to delegate some of those tasks. Perhaps you're not getting enough sleep. Perhaps you just feel you're not being understood. Or sometimes it's when you have to answer that same repeated question several times again. So how can you handle it? How can you reduce your stress levels? Think about things that you can do easily, like stepping out of the room, taking some deep breaths, just to catch yourself, collect yourself again. Get some oxygen back into your blood, which goes into your brain and helps you calm down. Perhaps even take a short little walk outside. Find ways that you can try to reduce your stress. Determine what you can and cannot change. Those things that you cannot change, you need to then find a different way to cope with them. But the things that you can change, even the smallest change, can make a big difference. You need to take action. If you identify that you need help and you don't take any action, that can be very detrimental to your health, your mental health, emotional, and physical. So make sure that you start to size up what and how you can make some changes that will improve the situation in caregiving. On the other hand, failure to take action can have all kinds of side effects too. It can bring on depression. It can affect your relationships, not only with the care receiver, but with the entire family. It can be very detrimental to your health. As we say, your mental, emotional, and physical well-being are very important. You may want to change the situation. For example, if the care receiver is taking the medications on their own more often than they should, the situation needs to be changed by you having movement of the medications somewhere where they are not visible. That way they're out of sight and the care receiver no longer is thinking about taking meds constantly. Another thing you may want to look at is changing the perception of how you view things. If it makes you angry that someone is asking you the same question over and over again, change your perception and understand it's the illness, it's not the person that's trying to be difficult. Change your response. Say, here's a few crackers to hold you until dinner time. We'll be eating at 6 o'clock. Because to say to the person, don't you remember we always eat at 6 o'clock? That's really not helping the situation. But the way you respond to it settles things down for everybody. And it makes for a better quality of life for the whole family.
I am Nasheed Kakarala, with the City of Los Angeles Bureau of Sanitation Citywide Recycling Division. Today I will talk about sharps and how to properly dispose of sharps. Sharps can be needles, lancets, other such devices the residents use at in-home settings to either self-administer medications or to monitor their health. So if residents who use sharps are encouraged to use what are called sharps containers. A sharps container is one, it's puncture resistant, it's rigid, and it can be tightly sealed. See, once you seal it up, sharps don't come out of there. We have these at Department of Rec and Park senior centers, at pharmacies, and other participating locations. So a resident would come into the senior center and take a sharps container home, put their sharps in there. So once the sharps container is full, the resident would bring their tightly sealed sharps container to a drop box that looks something like this. They would get the key from the center and open it up and drop it in there. For more information, seniors can go to our website, www.lacitysan.org. That is LACITYSAN.org. Or call our 1-800 number, 1-800-98-TOXIC, 98TOXIC. Thank you.
We've really had a lot of fun here with the Red Hat ladies today. Ladies at home, I encourage you to contact them and join them. You'll have a lot of fun. We'll see you next time on Aging Well in LA.
Su hogar estén preparados para un desastre, sea autosuficiente y asuma responsabilidad por su propia seguridad y la de su familia. Entérese sobre lo que necesita saber para cada emergencia. Infórmese sobre evacuaciones y sobre cómo crear un albergue improvisado. Practique su plan y asegúrese que todos en la familia sepan dónde se encuentra el equipo de emergencia, cuál es el lugar designado donde se reunirán y a dónde serán evacuados dentro de su área. Puede que necesite sellar sus ventanas y marcos con cinta para ductos si se le pide que improvise un albergue. Si tiene que evacuar, los guantes le protegerán las manos del vidrio o escombros que tal vez necesite mover o maniobrar. Para reducir el peligro, los objetos pesados deben de mantenerse en las repisas bajas. Todo mueble pesado como repisas, libreros, cuadros, espejos, etc., no deben de colgar encima o cerca de camas y deben de estar sujetos en su lugar. Los calentadores de agua deben de estar sujetados. Asegúrese de que sabe cómo apagar su agua, gas y electricidad si fuese necesario. También deberá mostrarle el lugar de las conexiones a los vecinos, parientes y a otras personas, junto con las instrucciones de cómo apagarlos. Asegúrese que las alacenas y los cajones tengan pestillos. También debe de mantener extinguidores de incendio en su cocina, garage y recámara. Necesitará protegerse a sí mismo durante y después de un terremoto, debido a que pueden ocurrir más sacudidas. Si tiene una silla de ruedas, asegúrese de tener un lugar bueno y seguro. Fije los frenos y cubra su cabeza y su cuello con sus manos. Si está en su cama, permanezca ahí y cubra su cabeza. Si es posible, colóquese debajo de una mesa o escritorio sólido. Para mantenerse informado sobre lo último en noticias e instrucciones como improvisación de albergues, órdenes de evacuación, hervir el agua, etc., un radio o televisor de batería son necesarios. Si es sordo o tiene sordera parcial, deberá buscar otra manera de estar informado y comunicarse con vecinos y socorristas. Solo usted sabe qué lo puede preparar y ayudar tanto a usted como a su familia en caso de un desastre. ¿Está usted preparado? Para mayor información, por favor, comuníquese con el Departamento de Discapacidad o el Departamento de Administración de Emergencias del Ayuntamiento de Los Ángeles al llamar a los números en pantalla o al 311.
Graffiti removal? Call 311, the toll-free number for non-emergency services. 311, your one call to City Hall.
Hi, I'm Nina. This is my daughter Miranda, and we live in Silver Lake. We love the cultural diversity of Los Angeles. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
Good morning, Los Angeles, and welcome to the City Council meeting for today, Friday, October 14th, 2011. We're here in the John Farrow Council Chambers, room 340 of City Hall, where we meet every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. I want to welcome members of the public who are here with us today, as well as our special guests who have joined us in our council chambers. Each Friday, we begin the meetings with some very special presentations of notable individuals and organizations and dates that are important to the city of Los Angeles. And today we do have 7 such presentations. We will have His Holiness Aram I, who is the Catholicos of the Armenian Church, who will be down here shortly. We have our great Korean Consul General, who we are formally welcoming to our council chambers as well. We have Council District 10 with Adopt a Pet, and Council District 11 will be doing a presentation on bike versus flight. We have Chief Mariani as well, who is joining us. And then we have two presentations from Council District 3 on the Quality and Productivity Commission, and an airport police officer who will be honored as well. We are broadcast live on Channel 35 throughout the city's cable system that is available throughout Time Warner and other cable systems here in the city of Los Angeles. We also are rebroadcasted each evening, and we are available 4 other ways. Online through the city's website at lacity.org. You can watch live streaming webcasts of our council meetings. We also archive our past council meetings there too for your convenience. And online you can also get any of the supporting materials for our meetings, including our agendas, reports, and any of the materials that council members have when they are voting on items. You can also come to our council chambers in Van Nuys and San Pedro City Hall if that's closer to where you live. Save yourself some time and some traffic, reduce some pollution, and watch the council meetings from there. Or also you can testify remotely from those locations as well. Finally, you can use your telephone and call the following number. That's 213-621-CITY. That's 213-621-CITY, and listen in to any of our council or committee meetings. We need 10 members of our usual 15, now down to 14-member body to constitute 2/3 or a quorum and to begin our official business. I want to thank those council members who are here. Council members Alarcon, Koretz, Krikorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, and Zine. We are waiting one more to constitute a quorum. If council members Englander, Huizar, Reyes, and Wesson will please join us. Councilmember Cardenas is excused today. I'm sorry, and we just learned also Mr. Huizar will not be joining us either. So Councilmembers Englander, Reyes, and Wesson. In the meantime, we will begin our presentation just shortly. Thank you for your patience, and then we will go through our agenda and the items that we have before us to vote on today. Thank you. If we can call the roll, Mr. Clerk, we do have 10 members. We'll run through the agenda briefly and then begin our presentations.
Very good, sir. Alarcon, Cardenas, Englander, Huizar, Koretz, Krikorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Wesson, Zion, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum. Mr. President.
First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Krikorian moves and Mr. Zion seconds. Without objection, those will be approved. Next order of business.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Koretz moves and Mr. Rosendahl seconds. Without objection, those will be approved as well. If we can run through the agenda, and colleagues, any items you wish to call special, if I can draw your attention to those items that are agendized for today.
Mr. President, items 1 through 4 are items for which public hearings have been held. A committee report for item 1 has been submitted and distributed for council's consideration.
Okay. Does anybody wish to call any of these items special, 1 through 4? If not, we'll move the committee report on 1 and take up 1 through 4. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Next item. Yes, Mr. Rosendahl?
Yes, item 1 forthwith, please.
Sure. We'll send 1 forthwith. Next items.
Mr. President, items 5 through 12 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, those are before us. Any cards on these?
We do, sir. We have cards on items 5 and 8. Okay. Furthermore, we have a request from Councilmember Zine to continue item 12 to October 19.
All right, if there's no objection, we'll continue that till then. Any special items, colleagues, besides 5 and 8? Seeing none, let's open roll on the remainder. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
All right, those are approved. Next items.
On the continuation agenda, items 13 and 14 are items for which public hearings have been held.
All right, let's go ahead. Anybody wishing to call those items special?
No, just an announcement. Anyone here for item 13, Runyon Canyon? We're working with the community. I just want to go forthwith on this one, Mr. Garcetti, on 13. Anybody here for 14? Thank you very much. I'll get you to be a volunteer. Go forth on 14. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go ahead and open the roll on those two items. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you. That is approved. All right. We'll send forthwith.
Mr. President, that takes council back to items called special public comment on today's agenda or presentations.
Okay, we will go to presentation. I'd like to pass the baton over and recognize Mr. Krikorian and myself for the first presentation.
All right, so we will begin our first presentation this morning with our Council President, Eric Garcetti, and Council Member Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are awaiting Mr. Krikorian will be walking in shortly with His Holiness Catholicos Aram I, who has graced us with his visit. So as soon as he is here, we will begin the presentation, and then next we will welcome our Consul General of the Republic of South Korea. Ladies and gentlemen, His Holiness Catholicos Aram I. Come stand with us. Hey, please come stand.
Oh, no. Should we sit? I think you should sit.
Okay. Oh, you want to sit? Okay. Okay. Sit until we finish, and then we'll invite you. Thank you.
Please be seated. Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a profound privilege for me as the first and only Armenian American ever to be elected in the history of this city, to be able to, thank you, Mr. Rosendahl, to be able to welcome to these chambers today we've welcomed many important and distinguished guests, but there are very, very few who would have the significance of our guests today to me. It's an honor and a privilege to welcome and to introduce to all of you His Holiness Aram I, the head of the Catholicos of the Great House of Cilicia, the leader of the Armenian Church that has been at the heart and soul of the Armenian people throughout our great history. Aram I has traveled here from Antelias, Lebanon, the headquarters of the Great House of Cilicia, to ensure that his flock here in Los Angeles is healthy, thriving, and happy. As the spiritual leader of the Armenian community, His Holiness has been a source of strength and determination for the Armenian diaspora, both here in California and throughout the world. For years, we've looked to His Holiness for His leadership, His guidance, and His wisdom in the face of war, famine, and chaos. His Holiness has been the shepherd for His flock at times when the heart and soul of the diaspora was tested in ways that we have not seen since our greatest test, the Armenian Genocide of 1915. Whether it was through the Lebanese Civil War, the Karabakh War of Independence, or the devastating earthquake of 1989, His Holiness has always been there and has never relented to protect our community and to teach us how to persevere. And through it all, His Holiness has guided us, and not just the Armenian community, but those who care about spirituality and faith in all of its variations. He's guided us with love, hope, passion, and serenity. His convictions and his devotion to God has led our community like a bright light in the vast sea of darkness, shining upon us with the wisdom of forgiveness and humanity, and reminding us that no matter what, as Armenians, the first Christian nation on earth, we have an obligation always to live with humility, civility, and most importantly, with love for one another. And perhaps what is even most extraordinary of all is that His Holiness has not only been a leader in the Armenian community, but he's transcended ethnic and religious bounds. He was the leader of the World Conference of Churches for 15 years, bringing together people of all faiths in their common mission. He's been instrumental in the Middle East in establishing real and secure relationships between Muslims, Jews, and Christians. And in that process, he has played a real role in saving lives and healing ancient wounds. His work in the fields of interreligious dialogue and cooperation have earned him a reputation as a peacemaker and a bridge builder, bringing people together in the name of love and light. And ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, it's not often that these chambers are blessed with someone who has contributed so much to our troubled world and made it a little bit lighter and a little bit closer and a little bit more filled with love and faith in the future than His Holiness. And we are very, very blessed to have him grace us in our chambers today. So I would like our President, Eric Garcetti, to join me here at the podium and say a few words before we introduce His Holiness.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councilmember Krikorian, and thank you for your beautiful words. We were able to receive His Holiness first when he arrived at the airport, then today when he was upstairs in the Tom Bradley room, and in a room full of some of the most articulate quotes I think that we know of in the world that adorn the ceilings of our building here at City Hall. I heard some of the most beautiful words in a decade that I have heard from anybody, and I want to thank His Holiness because he gave us a renewed sense of what our mission is as public servants, and you'll hear from him momentarily. But I am so pleased to be able to welcome him here to what I called kind of a temple of democracy, which is how I think of our chambers here. It looks like we had all of the religious leaders in the community here together for the commemoration of 9/11 recently, and it was to see that here. So many of them said, this looks just like a place of worship, and that's how we think of ourselves. People can come here and petition their government directly. They can yell at us, they can compliment us, they can do anything in between, and they have the right to really hear their voice. But more than that, we welcome you because this is hopefully a place where people are inspired. And you certainly inspire us and have inspired us for decades here on your fourth pontifical visit, spending time throughout this region with an emphasis also on helping build the educational institutions that are a part of the Armenian American community here. And the work that you have done internationally to build bridges, to bring people together, are embodied very much on this council too. Sitting in the council president's chair is our council member who is the first Lebanese American ever to be elected to the council, Dennis Zain. We have Jews and Christians. We have folks that are around here who come from, as Martin Luther King said, we might have come here on different ships, but we're all in the same boat now. And we all have a sense, gay and straight, folks who are here from all traditions and all communities. And so we welcome you not just as a great leader to the people of Los Angeles, but a great leader in our world. And we thank you, Aram I, Your Holiness, for being here, and we'd like to invite you forward. You're here with Archbishop Marderosian as well, who is an incredible light of yours when you are not here, and a leader in our community as well, and we want to thank him. But ladies and gentlemen, if you'll please welcome His Holiness, Aram I. Yes, please. We'll be honored. Okay.
First of all, I would like to express my profound joy to be once again with you in this council, with the council. Being with you means being with the people, because you represent people. You are elected by the people, and you are called and challenged to serve the people with the sense of responsibility, with transparency, and with accountability. Is there any greatest virtue in our human life than serving the people? The service should be at the center of our responsibility in religion, in the governance, and in all aspects of our life. When we speak of democratic values, that means that the people, the interest of people, and not the interest of individuals, the interest of people should become the highest value and our permanent concern. And I'm sure that you are dedicated to serve the people with this profound sense of responsibility. Serving the people is vocation. In religious context, we often remind ourselves that what we do is vocation. But yours as well is vocation, because in different ways, in different forms, with different approaches, we all serve the people. The people should remain at the center of our reflection and action. Secondly, while looking at your names, starting from Gregorian and other names, I do realize that you have different roots. In America, you see, nowadays we're speaking about what is called hyphenated identity. Yes, indeed, you are representative of people who have different backgrounds, different roots. And we must remain faithful to our roots. But what brings you together is the common values that constitute this great nation of the United States of America. These are values of justice, of freedom, peace, reconciliation, democracy. These are at the core of American values. These values constitute the very identity of the United States of America, and these values bring you together and makes you one nation. And I'm proud that my own people, my own community, is part of the American nation. As you just heard, after the Armenian genocides of 1915, when the Ottoman Turkish government of the time planned, organized, and executed a genocide against my own nation, the Armenian nation. We lost 1.5 million Armenians, and the rest of the Armenians were dispersed all over the world. And the United States of America was the first country to accept the Armenians as refugees. Our people came to these lands of freedom and justice as refugees, as DPs, but we did not remain refugees. In a short period of time, we became Americans in the profound sense of the words. We identified ourselves with the American values, with the dreams and aspirations of this great nation. And indeed, our people participated actively, responsibly, committedly in all efforts in this great nation that are aimed at progress in all spheres of society life. And today, in this country, we have well-organized Armenian communities which are integral and inseparable parts of this great nation. We do preserve our values, our traditions, but America is a country of communities where diversities interact in a coherent way. This is indeed the richness and specificity of the United States of America, a country where we see unity in diversity and diversity in unity. And I'm proud that the Armenian community is contributing to enrich these diversities with its own values, traditions, and aspirations. Therefore, I would like once again to express my joy, and I wish you all the best in your vocation. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless this city of angels. May God bless you all.
And the microphone, unfortunately, is this way, but we're going to present to His Holiness, please, Mr. Krikorian, a welcome from the City of Angels signed by all of us here, calligraphed for this special occasion on behalf of your visit. Aram the First.
Mr. President, group photo. All council members, a group photo in the center.
Yep. Not this one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to continue our council meeting. Thank you, Your Holiness, for being with us on this very, very special day and for your blessing. We will continue with presentations.
Absolutely. We'll see you Sunday. Absolutely. Thank you. It's a blessing. Thank you.
Council President Garcetti.
Thank you very much. And thank you to His Holiness again, and thank you to all the guests who are here as well. It was a blessing to have everyone here. And we have another very special presentation, and Mr. Labange is going to join me here shortly as well. And Mr. Reyes, would you like to join us as well? I'll start by saying annyeonghaseyo, and I'm very pleased to welcome today a very special leader here in the city of Los Angeles who has been with us since this spring, but this is his first official welcome to our council chambers. Our Consul General from the Republic of South Korea, Young-Sun Shin, who is here with his delegation in City Hall today. And it is a great honor to have such an accomplished leader here with me and to introduce him in his role as the new Consul General here in Los Angeles. I often retell the story of visiting, in my first year in office, the Blue House and visiting President Kim. And I'll never forget that as we discussed Los Angeles politics, he knew almost more about Los Angeles politics than we do. And to me, that was a reflection of the fact that we are such an important city to Koreans all around the world, and that indeed Los Angeles is such a great Korean city in its diversity. And so we have here today an opportunity to welcome somebody who has distinguished himself in terms of his career. He's working to lead on South Korea-U.S. relations, and it is a very momentous moment for us to do this, which we hadn't planned ahead, but I'll let him discuss it because of the recent friendship and agreements that we've come to together as two nations. But he has worked all over the world. The Consul General has been in Singapore, Russia, France, many other countries. He's almost like a walking United Nations. And prior to his appointment in Los Angeles, he was an ambassador for climate change for South Korea's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Here in California, where we are leading the way through AB 32 of trying to do our part, almost, sometimes our national leadership isn't able to produce what we say we can do here locally, so we are doing it here in California, and we know that we have an expert in climate change in the Consul General. He's also served as a Secretary General for the Northeast Asian History Foundation, a minister for the Korean delegation to the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, and also taught at Hankook University of Foreign Studies in Seoul. We have a teacher, a diplomat, an environmentalist, a leader, and Consul General Shin received a master's in public administration from this kind of lesser-known university, Harvard University, at the Kennedy School of Government, and a bachelor's from Korea University, incredibly well-educated in the finest schools in the world. And I'd like to take an opportunity with my colleagues here who also represent kind of the greater Koreatown area. First, I'd like to pass over to Councilmember Tom Labange, who has part of the formal area, and then hear from Councilmember Ed Reyes as well to say a few words to welcome the Consul General. Tom Labange.
Council General, I say welcome. I know we've had a chance to meet. It's very special as Mr. Garcetti spoke about this, and as our mayor speaks so eloquently, Mr. Villaraigosa, Los Angeles is the largest city for 38 nations outside their own city. And I'm proud because I learned my Korean, kamsahamnida chingu, from all the friends that I get every morning on Namsung North in the mountains of Griffith Park. The Koreans hike. And you're one of them, is right. and we see each other's knees, and we wonder, what about it? The key is, though, is the opportunity that the Koreans took in Los Angeles from a small market at Jefferson in Vermont, then rising up to overwhelm Olympic Boulevard with the transformation, and in the Wilshire Center now as a dominant business center, and other parts. When the late, great Mayor Tom Bradley and John Farrar, the president of this council, went out to put the Koreatown signs up, both being 6'4", 6'5", they just went out and put them right out there. There were no records where Koreatown was because it was so big. Only recently did we make official records through that. And working with the great councilman Herb Wesson, I'm just north of him, Koreatown is an important factor. But Korea is a great country, and the transformation is great. It's all about the spirit of human beings and what you do. So I want to say special congratulations. And next year we'll celebrate the 40th anniversary of Busan, which is our sister city, and we'll have celebration here in Los Angeles as well as Busan. Kamsahamnida, Chingu.
Councilmember Reyes.
It's a real honor to share this moment and give our congratulations. 20 years ago, when we were working in the 1st District, the boundaries were different. We had a large portion within Koreatown. In the past 20 years, it has shifted. But what hasn't changed has been the spirit of the Korean community. And it shows itself in the churches, in institutions that become part of our efforts to improve our great city. Yongnak Church, one of the largest churches in Southern California, lies in my district. Thousands and thousands come every weekend, and they have participated in the river cleanups. They have demonstrated technologies. It's the only city in the world, and the only country that I know has the ability to pull out a freeway, change the face of a city, and rebuild an ancient river. And to bring back all the ecological, all the business opportunities that speaks to the strength of nature. And you are a role model for that. And I thank you for that example, because it makes believers out of many people, especially in Los Angeles, that we can do the same in nurturing that which is natural to us. So I thank you for that leadership. I thank you for the spirit, but more importantly, for embracing the diversity of this great city. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, and we'd love to hear some words from you, Consul General, but on behalf of the, I'll give you the formal name, El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora la Reina de Los Angeles, or the little town called Los Angeles, we'd like to welcome you and extend our warmest wishes and hopes that you will not only be an integral part of the life here, but that your impact here will continue to improve the relations between our nations for decades to come. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Put this in front.
Okay, yeah, we'll go like that. There we go. There we go.
Go like that.
Thank you very much. Very welcome. Please. I'll hold it for you. Very nice.
Well, after such a wonderful introduction, I find no ways to express more eloquently any further. Anyway, I will try to take up a few moments. Thank you, Chairman Garcetti and the colleague council members of the Los Angeles City Council and Angelenos. I'm so grateful to the Los Angeles City Council for giving me this chance to speak with such a great and important audience. I cannot think of a more opportune time for a conversation about Los Angeles-Korean relations as now, with my President Lee Myung-bak meeting in the USA with President Obama, not to mention the long-awaited approval by Congress of the landmark free trade agreement. This state visit illustrated the importance of U.S.-Korea strategic alliance and the close friendship and confidence between the two leaders. Over the past 100 years, Korea experienced colonial annexation, war, division, and another war. Then, from the ashes or scratches of the Korean War, there was the beginning of a remarkable journey of economic and political transformation. The end of the Korean War led to the formation of the U.S.-Korea alliance, which was firmly anchored in security and shared value. 61 years later, today, Korea has taken its place among the newly developed countries. Its trillion-dollar economy makes it the world's 15th largest and the 4th largest economy in Asia. Quite amazing thing. Mm-hmm. We cannot imagine this level of success without the unwavering support and cooperation from the United States of America. Why is the U.S.-Korea relationship so strong? I believe the grassroots relations between our two peoples, which has multiplied and prospered, especially over the past 2 decades, has truly buttressed our alliance. Of course, we cannot talk about people-to-people ties without mentioning the Korean-American community here in Los Angeles, which has added so much to the dynamic diversity of American culture. Korean Americans in Los Angeles have been the most active and numerous of all the Korean diaspora in the world, as you mentioned, Lavange. They are the most exemplary Korean community in the United States, which is particularly noteworthy in the light of having to overcome the hardship from the LA civil unrest of 1992, 19 years ago from today. The scars of this tragedy are still fresh. And in April of 2012, next year, the Korean community is preparing a monumental event in commemoration of the 20-year anniversary of this civil unrest. This event aims to unify the various communities for sustainable peace and progress, rather than division and conflict. Your support and participation is indeed needed and will be greatly appreciated. LA serves as a gateway for linking the United States and Korea through a vibrant personal and trade exchange. Almost 1/3 of the trade volume of our two nations passes through Los Angeles and Long Beach ports. The Korea-U.S. Free Trade Agreement will strengthen LA's trade and investment ties to Korea's burgeoning economy. It will bolster the LA economy and by increasing its export and trading and creating more profit and jobs. Taking this opportunity, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the citizens, organizations and businesses in LA, as well as the LA City Council, for the enthusiasm that you have been expressing for this agreement. Our team has paid off. As we move forward to implement the chorus, we ask the citizens and businesses of LA continue to play an important role in making this transition smooth, so that nations can enjoy the amazing economic and strategic benefit that this FTA will bring to us. The U.S.-Korea relationship is indeed a success story. We can never make this relationship for granted. I have a sense that our most important days are still ahead of us. We address the unfinished work of solidifying the new, broader U.S.-Korea relationship and partnership that will shape our people's future. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and we welcome the Consul General. I know we'll include everybody in the April commemorations next year, and we'll work with each Council office to make that happen. Thank you so much. It was a great honor.
Thank you very much.
We'll take pictures in the back.
Our next presentation will be Mr. Zine.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. We are now going to bring forward the 2011 Quality and Productivity Commission Awards for presentation, and I want to acknowledge the fact that the Commission recognized a number of departments that applied, and they will not be receiving an award, but I want to recognize them. Department of Finance, Department of General Services, Department of Housing, Information Technology Agency, Department of Recs and Parks, Department of Personnel, Department of Public Works, Department of Transportation, Los Angeles City Employees Retirement System, Los Angeles Harbor, Los Angeles Public Library, Los Angeles Zoo. We want to acknowledge those departments for submitting applications for this prestigious award. And if I can have my colleagues, Mr. Englander and Mr. Koretz, join me, since we serve on the committee together. As the chairman of the Audits and Government Efficiency Committee, my colleagues will be joining me in recognizing city departments and city employees who are recipients of the 2011 Quality and Productivity Commission Awards for Excellence and Innovation. I want to recognize the members of the Quality and Productivity Commission. These are commissioners appointed by the mayor who serve without compensation to help the city of Los Angeles. They work tirelessly to identify outstanding city departments and projects that are recognized today. The Quality and Productivity Commissioners join us today. If you please stand when I read your name. The President, Ron Galpern. The Vice President, Hogan Lee. The Vice President, and who served as the chairman of today's award ceremony, Ed Young. Julie Butcher, Freddie Carrillo, Marty Cooper, Fernando Diaz, Brian Johnson, Michael Jones, Andrew Lachman, Jamie Lee, Javier Lujan, Suzanne Marquez, Michael Sirota, Lee Turner, and these are the commissioners that reviewed, visited sites, and are here today for the ceremony which was held in the Rotunda, recognizing the personnel from the various departments. So if we can give a round of applause to our commissioners for the volunteer time that they do. And we're going to recognize these 11 different projects and city departments who are receiving awards in innovation and productivity, which has led to the increased efficiency in the delivery of services while saving money on our struggling city budget. In today's economic climate, we all have to do more with less, and the city employees and departments that we recognize this morning have done just that. My colleagues and I will call each winning project team and briefly describe their work that is being recognized today. We will then take a quick photo and move on to the next project. With that, I'd like to bring up the President of the Quality and Productivity Commission for a comment before we begin with the departments. Ron Galpern.
Thank you, Chairman Zine, to you and to your office for your assistance. I am Ron Galpern, President of the Quality and Productivity Commission. Very privileged to work with an incredible group of people, 15 in all, who are volunteers and who give of their time to make this a better city. And we are proud to recognize and honor the employees and the managers that we are honoring today. Altogether, 11 projects, 20 different bureaus and offices and departments of the city who have really led the way, saving millions of dollars. We hear lots about all the problems the city has, and there are problems, but there are some great things that are happening, and we are so pleased to be able to highlight what those are and to help the city save money. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron. And our first journey to be green turns gold. This project embraces energy conservation through extensive retrofitting, the implementation and measures of conservative energy and natural resources. The Los Angeles Convention Center became the largest convention center in the nation to receive the leadership in environmental and energy design for existing building design. Air conditioning efficiency improved 38%. Urinal replacement saved 75,000 gallons of water annually, and the new lighting units yielded 50% reduction in electrical use through motion detectors. Let's congratulate the Los Angeles Convention Center for the first award. Los Angeles Convention Center. Photo time, photo time, photo time. Right here, right here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And our next presentation will be by Council Member Englander.
All right.
Keeping it cool.
Thank you. Keeping it cool. The Multi-Departmental Award, Information Technology Agency, and the General Services Department. If you can come on up. The Information Technology Agency implemented a state-of-the-art building automation system program for general services. The new system allows GSD personnel to remotely monitor, diagnose, and troubleshoot HVAC systems to better optimize energy usage. Now, air conditioning and mechanics are able to diagnose and troubleshoot problems at a central location instead of driving to the facilities for each individual request. The estimated energy savings for the city are $1.1 million annually, plus another $300,000 in annual employee time savings. Congratulations to the ITA and GSD for this well-deserved award.
Come on in here. Don't hide back there.
Put your hand on here. Get your hand on here. That's LaBonge taught me that. They crop you out of it.
Hey, kitty, I'm Tony.
Thank you. Congratulations.
You're up.
The next award is the LED Streetlight Energy Efficiency Program, and this is a multi-department award with the Office of the Mayor, the Bureau of Street Lighting, and DWP. This project exemplifies the benefits of cooperation. The Department of Water and Power provided the financial backing that included rebates and loans. The Bureau of Street Lighting's new technology group spearheaded the use of LED for civic projects, and the Mayor's office coordinated this 5-year plan, which focused on adopting new technologies and improving efficiency. Using LED units to replace the current incandescent lamps, the city will generate a 40% energy cost savings, or $1.6 million, over the 7-year span working with the DWP on this. Once the DWP loan is repaid, the city receives $10 million in annual energy cost savings. Congratulations to the DWP, the Bureau of Street Lighting, and the Mayor's Office for this award.
Thank you very much. This was the best one. Right?
They're all great.
Congratulations.
You wouldn't be here.
Congratulations. Councilman Zine, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Mr. Alarcon, the next one is your name. I'm sorry, this one's for Mr. Cardenas. I'm sorry, you're after that. Elmer Avenue Green Street Project. Department of Public Works, Bureau of Street Services and Sanitation. If you'll please come forward. The Bureau of Street Services and Sanitation installed new sidewalks, curbs, gutters, and catch basins along Elmer Avenue in Sun Valley. These improvements resulted in benefits to the community, including an increase in local water supply, improved water quality, and a reduction of flood impacts. While the project cost $2.5 million, an independent study indicated that the potential cost savings in the range of $10 to $12 million. Congratulations to the Bureau of Street Services and Sanitation for this great project, Elmer Avenue Green Street Project. Sign.
Guys in the back.
Here we go. It's like we can't see the cameras, Tom. We can't see the cameras, Tom. Where's the photographer, Tom? Tom, which is the photographer? You got a camera. You got it.
All right. Sanitation enough. Thank you, sanitation.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
And you've got 2 cents here.
Mitch?
Thank you, Ron.
What happened to Mr. Englander? Mr. Englander, you're up.
Pause because we have to want an ordinance, and she has to leave for a funeral at 11.
Mr. Englander,
So
you're up. Okay.
Look at the ordinance real quick. It'll take.
Madam Chair, I understand they want to pause to do a vote on ordinance.
Thank
Go
you
ahead.
very much, Mr. Zine. We're going to take a 12-vote item right now. Okay, there are cards on this item. All right, there are a couple quick speaker cards on this. Actually, there's just one speaker card on this. That is Mr. Arnold Sachs. Mr. Sachs, please come forward. You wanted to speak on item 5.
We need to clear for a minute.
Let's see, I don't see Mr. Sachs. Is he still present? Mr. Zine, don't go too far. We'll resume in just a second. We're going to vote on this item, then we're going to move forward. This is a 12-vote item, so we needed to do it while 12 people are present. Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Arnold Sachs. This is establishing a local business preference program for the city's procurement of goods, equipment, and services, including construction, when the contract involves an expenditure in excess of $150,000. So I'm wondering, would that also include programs that you just authorized with the wage ordinance, you know, for the construction of projects throughout the city that are like millions of dollars, including at the airport? And would that also include subcontractors that are hired by the city to oversee contracts that the city is not directly involved in? Would that also include requiring these companies to enforce a living wage ordinance, thereby having the option of offering the $2 more an hour that they can get at the airport, unless it's only at the airport, but not throughout the city, but eliminating health care coverage? Because there's a lot that comes out on the plate with these wonderful intentions, but then when it trickles down to the public, there's a big gap between the reality of what occurs and what you're stating and what happens actually. So I'm just wondering, you have expenditures for advertising. Will that include this? Any contracts, you say $150,000. And what about the local hiring ordinance part? Will it only be for city employees, for people that live within the city? What about these contracts that are for, like the stadium that's going to be built? You just sound a non-binding memorandum of understanding. Will the contracts involved there be included in this?
Mr. Koretz is our first person in the queue, followed by Mr. Alarcon.
Chair. I strongly favor a local preference ordinance, and I thank Council members Alarcon and Garcetti for bringing this forward. I would suggest, though, that we look at not tying one hand behind our back and doing this as a local preference for just the county, but that we should look at making it for just the city of Los Angeles. I know that the charter says that we can adopt a local preference policy favoring businesses within LA County, but our administrative code gives us some leeway, and it's clear that council can determine the nature and extent of such preferences. And while it may be pushing the envelope a little bit, I think we should enact a city-only preference rather than a county-only preference. So I hope we'll consider that as we deliberate on this item.
Mr. Alarcon.
Council members, as you know, I voted against the drafting of the ordinance because I felt it didn't go far enough, it wasn't tight enough, and for the reasons that were expressed by Mr. Koretz. But I would agree that we are hampered greatly because our charter imposes certain directions that make it very difficult for us to have a broader, more impactful local preference ordinance. So in communication with the Mayor's office, I've agreed to introduce a motion with a second by Mr. Garcetti and Mr. Englander to request that the city attorney, with the assistance of the CAO and the CLA, draft a charter amendment for the council's consideration to be placed before the voters at the next city election to permit the city, including its proprietary departments, greater flexibility in establishing local business preference programs for the city's procurement of goods, equipment, and services. Now, I understand Mr. Englander would like to introduce a friendly amendment to specify the definition of local to hopefully get to something that is City of Los Angeles versus a county local preference, which is the language that exists today, and I believe that's driven by the charter. So this is, I consider this a friendly motion, and I would ask for your support to put this on the ballot. Let the voters decide about local preference. In the meantime, I'm happy to vote for the ordinance that is before us.
Mr. Labange.
The stand members, we could say local preference, but our original city was Hoover on the west, Fountain on the north, Indiana on the east, and Exposition on the south. And I think of the young people throughout the county who have jobs because of Los Angeles. The shoestring annexation to the harbor. What about Compton? What about other neighborhoods that have challenges that we don't have? I think if we look at it county-wide, or if you want to say within the sphere of the city, fine. But if you're so parochial, we may miss opportunities. Even on San Fernando Road. What about San Fernando, the city of San Fernando? Is there anything in the city of San Fernando that would benefit both regions? Along the San Fernando corridor is the railroad. Along the railroad, developed industry. Some's at Burbank and Glendale. Pasadena. I would just caution ourselves to being so parochial. I support the mayor on this because it's countywide. I absolutely support that it's countywide. But if we go too parochial, we miss opportunities to be the region leader that we are.
Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Madam President. As the author of the motion, I want to speak a little bit about this definitional issue. And first, let me just set the context here. This city spends about $1 billion a year or so on procurement of goods or contracted services. Right now, 85% of that expenditure goes outside of the city of Los Angeles. There is no excuse at a time when small businesses throughout this city are struggling to keep their doors open, at the time that this city is struggling with double-digit unemployment, that we are purchasing pencils and stationery from companies that are outside of the state of California. That is ludicrous, and that needs to change. Now, I introduced this motion about a year ago, and we have before us an ordinance now, at long last, to fix this problem. We need to vote this ordinance through right now, untouched and unamended, without any changes. And I would welcome the suggestion, and I very much welcome the suggestion that Mr. Alarcon and Mr. Kretz both alluded to. It's been a concern of mine as well throughout this, because we do have this handicap of the charter, and I absolutely support the suggestion that we amend the charter. But that can't be an amendment to what's before us today, because what is before us today is an ordinance that has been prepared by the city attorney and that was waived out of the Jobs Committee. So there is no report that we can amend. There is an ordinance before us today that needs to be voted and voted aye. We can also introduce a motion separately to call upon a charter amendment, but that cannot be an amendment to item 5 today. Today, colleagues, I call for your aye vote on item 5 right now as it's drafted, and I will be happy to be one of the seconders on Mr. Alarcon's motion if it is a standalone motion that doesn't amend the item that's before us today. If you want to introduce that as a motion, I will second it right now, Mr. Alarcon. But, well, it isn't. That's not the way it's written. But, so, colleagues, I ask for your aye vote on item 5, and then I would be happy to second a motion for amending the charter so that we can improve this policy even further and make sure that we focus our purchasing power right here in the city of Los Angeles.
The point of personal privilege from Mr. Alarcon.
For clarification purposes, that is the intent of my motion. I have no intention of changing a word in the ordinance that is before us. I support it. I stated that such. This would merely create a process for us to consider a charter amendment in the future.
And I'm happy to support that, Mr. Alarcon. It's just that there's no report from committee because it was waived out. So all we have before us today is the ordinance itself, not a committee report.
On the advice of city attorney, that's what my motion does.
Okay.
Mr. Englander.
I love these vibrant discussions about everybody wanting to do the right thing. I think we're all on the same page. Everybody wants to give help to local businesses and try to give them an opportunity to bid on services and goods for the city of Los Angeles. It was stated earlier that we put out $1 billion in contracts for goods and services. In fact, it's $3 billion in goods and services if you include the proprietary departments. And so I wanted to call up the CLA. I just have a couple questions because it's been suggested perhaps that we should go to the ballot. I also do have a friendly amendment that we've been discussing for some time about what the word local means according to the Charter Section 1015 that does not explicitly have a prohibition against the city of Los Angeles in any way. And so if you can weigh in on including the idea in this ordinance, should we pass this today, defining local as for the benefit of giving a preferential treatment or 8% benefit on the adjusted bid to a local business, local meaning in the city of LA. Could we do that, and does that require that to go to the voters? Jerry.
Well, I think Councilman, I think there are two issues. One, if you were able to do that, that would be a material amendment to the ordinance today. So it would have to be redrafted and reintroduced as first reading. So you couldn't adopt it on first reading today if you were able to do it. City attorney, can certainly weigh in. They have opined in the past that the charter is a restriction on power, not a granting of authority. There is language in the charter that allows the implementation of local preferences. So what we'd like to do is work with city attorney to see if it can be done via ordinance rather than a charter amendment. If it can't, then certainly we would proceed in whichever manner is the most expeditious.
Let me ask you this question, and following up, and with Mr. Krikorian's wishes, he's been working on this for quite some time. I think it's well overdue. I don't want to hold it up yet again, but I do think it's absolutely critical to redefine local. If we pass the ordinance today and vote this up, can we then also bifurcate the issue of local and bring that back to another council meeting as quickly as possible to redefine that separately, and then include the ordinance element that we passed today to recognize that we've then amended the language for local so it's all inclusive?
Well, what I would suggest
is
that you pass the ordinance today, and if there's an ability to do it by ordinance, then you can amend the ordinance. But if you pass the ordinance today, at least that will be in place.
Okay, so I would put out there that that I make a motion to amend it rather than a friendly amendment, because it was just suggested it does not have that local preference does not have to go to the voters for the definition of local, that particular change or addition, if you will.
Again, if I may, Pete.
I guess we were joined.
Pete Echeverria from the City Attorney's Office. And in fact, the charter is very clear that the definition of local is either county or state. So it would take a charter amendment to change that definition. It cannot be changed by ordinance.
Okay, but
I don't want you to labor under a misunderstanding of that.
So if we had another city attorney up here, we can get another opinion, perhaps.
No, I'm speaking for the office.
No, I get that, but it doesn't say explicitly prohibit, and it's defined where it says domestic content requirement. I don't know what domestic means in this context, and it also says contracts for California or Los Angeles County firms.
Correct.
It would be adding or Los Angeles, City of Los Angeles firms, and then
that would be that would take a charter amendment, correct?
And it was the CLA's recommendation that amendment, it's an addition, would not require a vote though of going to the ballot.
In order to amend the charter, you need a vote of the people.
Okay, so I will ask then that it be added to as a friendly amendment to Mr. Alarcon's motion to report back from the CLA if it's required though, in fact, to go to the ballot. If it's not, we bring it back as an addition to or a definition of the charter for this body to vote on, and then add it to the ordinance, if you will, Mr. Krikorian's, so we can vote on that today and get that passed and that ball rolling. Is that clear enough? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parks.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just ask that we can get...
Let me get you on the next round. Let Mr. Parks speak, and then I'll call him. All right. We need a second on the friendly amendment.
Second.
Mr. Reyes, seconded the friendly amendment. I can't hear you, Mr. Alarcon.
I have to receive it as a friendly amendment. So
what's your decision?
The body? Okay. But I don't have a problem with it because the debate on that, all those issues should be had later. And I think it encourages support for the ordinance as is.
Right. So is that a yes, affirmative?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Parks?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just asked that we get a CLA and the CEO to give us back every 6-month report back on the performance of the audit of the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Krikorian, for putting this forward. I mean, if there's not a sense of urgency about putting people to work in this city, what are we doing here? And I think that it is one of many things that we need to be pushing forward and pushing forward as quickly as possible. We are a regional economy, so initially this will have an impact even with the county, though I completely support, which is why the motion that we put before us would also be able to look at how we can redefine that to be city through a charter change. Just to be clear, though, because I know you stood up and I want to make sure that you are assured on the record, Dion, or whoever wants to say, when there are amendments offered to an item on our council agenda, it is an amendment to that item, not necessarily to a report or to a ordinance. And in this case, it is the amending the communication that came from the city attorney, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Just want to establish that for the record. Thank you.
Mr. Reyes.
You know, colleagues, I stand in support of this effort. In the past, this body has tried to create mechanisms where we can enhance our ability to share the resources within our city boundaries for economic development reasons. But we always find ourselves struggling with policies that were established by our civil service process, policies established by how managers are told they should allocate resources and or make decisions, therefore undermines the intent of ordinances like this. So the report back from Councilman Parks, I think, is critical at Budget and Finance. But do we need any other type of report backs that could make this ordinance more efficient, more effective, in terms of how the managers of the different departments are exercising their discretion? Because ultimately they are in charge of making those decisions on a day-to-day basis. But the performance, what are we comparing it to? I mean, how much within their discretion have they let out into the economy? How much in their discretion, how do we measure their performance? It sounds great, but over time, how do we know that the spirit of this ordinance and the directive was actually realized? I mean, do we set up a report, a standard, something to compare to?
Sure. Well, Mr. Reyes, again, we're going to have to give this some thought about exactly how to make those reports useful. I mean, I would anticipate that they would center around the number of cases in which the local preference was implemented, whether there was any cost differential in the proposals as a result of the local preference, offset by the jobs creation, because if we're paying somewhat more on a bid because of a local preference, but we're creating jobs within the city, they may be offsetting. So those are the types of things that we would come back with in the report.
Great, I appreciate that, because it's no details that derails the intent of the ordinance and or the spirit of it, so I appreciate that.
Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. Krikorian. I think the people of Los Angeles want to acknowledge and commend you for this very common sense approach. I totally support this. I'll cite two examples. We had an event at the Staples Center where they purchased food up in San Bernardino County for personnel from the police and fire. Why would we go to San Bernardino County? We don't have a restaurant or some large capacity here. The second one is vehicle purchases. There was an audit recently released by the Motor Car Dealers of Southern California that of all the automobiles, I think there was one that was purchased in Los Angeles City. Everything was purchased outside the city of Los Angeles. We got a ton of auto dealers that are struggling for business. So when I give that example, those examples, what Mr. Krikorian is proposing is very logical, very common sense. When we talk about the county, you talk about the state of California, we can be competitive. We can purchase items at a reasonable cost. But why are we purchasing in other regions versus what we need to do right here in Los Angeles to help our businesses? We talk about being business friendly. Mr. Krikorian's motion, this particular item on the agenda needs to be approved. And if we want to set an example, we should do it, and we should do it today. And if there's any modifications, they can come later. But we need to do this. This is long, long, long overdue.
Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, I think we all applaud Mr. Krikorian's intent, and I think limiting this to LA County gets us halfway to where we want to be. But the question is whether we can go all the way in a relatively short period of time. I think we all agree we need to pass this today, and we will, and I'm sure it'll pass unanimously. But in the Administrative Code section, Administrative Code Division 10, Chapter 1, Article 9, Section 10.35, it states that the council, quote, shall determine the nature and extent of such preference. That language raises the question of whether we can do this with an ordinance change rather than a charter change. So I hope that we won't just instruct a review of the charter change, but we'll seriously look at whether we can do this administratively here within the city and not have to go to the voters. I don't think we need the expense and the lengthy waste of time before we're able to limit this to city-only purchasing. I don't think that it's a question of putting it before the voters. I don't think there's any doubt that the voters will want to benefit the city in which they live to as great an extent as possible. So the question is, does that administrative code section give us an opening to look at for doing this without needing to go to the voters?
I'm sorry, is that a question for us?
That is a question for you.
It does not, because it cannot, an ordinance cannot override the city charter, and the city charter expressly speaks in terms of a preference in the letting of contracts for Los Angeles, for firms located in California or Los Angeles County. The charter is a limitation on the city. It's not a grant of authority, but it's a limitation on our authority. Therefore, the expression in that manner of the preference limits us to that granting of it for the county. So it would take a charter amendment to do that.
And has this been extensively discussed within the city attorney's office already?
And before this body on prior occasions, as well as at the time that the charter was revised and amended in 1999.
So I wasn't around for that discussion, but was that at the time intended to be limited to the county and not to extend just to the city?
The discussion centered around the city being the center of a region and a regional economy. And so, yes, there was that kind of a discussion.
So the city actually intentionally wanted to broaden it so that business would go to Burbank and Montebello and other cities and not go to the city of Los Angeles.
That was the decision made at that time. Again, it can be changed at this time as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, I'd just like to call the question. I think we've had a good discussion on this, and just move forward with it, please.
Open the roll on the call to question. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate before. Vote.
11 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, the item is before us now. Open the roll.
Madam President, the item is now before you as amended. We do have motion 5A that has been circulated.
Has not been circulated?
Which has been circulated. We do have a friendly amendment from Councilmember Englander, seconded by Councilmember Reyes, requesting a report back from the CLA to determine whether or not a charter amendment is required to redefine local preference as city only.
These have all been accepted as friendly amendments, Mr. Clerk?
I am not sure that Mr. Krikorian has accepted 5A as friendly.
Mr. Krikorian's mic needs to be on.
As a point of order, I think Mr. Englander's verbal motion was offered as a friendly amendment to Mr. Alarcon's written motion, with the advice of the city attorney that Mr. Alarcon's written motion does not modify the ordinance that's before us, but is an additional instruction, essentially, that we're providing to staff to come back with additional work on. I'm not opposed to Mr. Alarcon's motion. So if we want to accept that as friendly, that'd be fine.
All right, so you're comfortable with accepting that as amended and voting with it on it altogether then? Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. All right, any other questions? Otherwise, we're going to open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right, next item. We're going to go back to Mr. Zine. Mr. Zine has to finish his presentation, then Mr. Rosendahl will be up. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Englander. Mr. Englander, it is your turn for Department of Public Works, Sanitation, and Bureau of Engineering. Followed by Mr. Alarcon.
Well, I think that discussion deserves an award of efficiency. Inefficiencies. All right. Addressing sewer odors while saving money.
Stinky guy.
Sanitation and the Bureau of Engineering collaborated to address a lawsuit against the City of Los Angeles regarding sewer odors. An agreed-upon settlement of the litigation called for the construction of 7 air treatment facilities for a total cost ranging between $45 million and $85 million. This was unacceptable. So they developed cheaper alternatives, which include improving trap maintenance holes, upsizing current air scrubbers, manipulating sewage flow within the system, and modifying current dampers to better control air movement. These changes will save the city tens of millions of dollars. Since the costly air treatment facilities no longer need to be built, the initiative taken by the Bureau to revisit the original settlement and to offer even better alternatives will save the city money and provide cleaner and better air for all of us. Congratulations to the Sanitation and Bureau of Engineering for this much-deserved award.
Thank you. Stand next to me. Pretend like you like me.
Stinky award.
All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Mr. Alarcon, you're the next presenter.
Mr. Reyes.
Yeah, I wanted to just acknowledge the Bureau of Sanitation. I wanted to thank them, the folks who had just got acknowledged. Colleagues, it's very hard to comprehend the cultural shift that is occurring in Bureau of Sanitation in their approach to how we treat our recycling needs in the city. And when you focus on water and how we are able to treat it, recycle it, move it back into our city, and find ways to contain it, that's the future of the city. We are built on a desert. And so how we look at a change in treatment, creating value in the brownfields of our city is because we have that capacity to treat our earth and make the difference. So I just want to stand and just applaud you for your hard work, Enrique, and the whole staff and all the departments that are connected with that effort. Public Works, I mean, I'll wait. I know they're probably coming up, but I just want to thank you guys for all your hard work.
Council members, once again, we want to recognize the Department of Public Works Sanitation for their Lopez Canyon Environmental Center, which is a 10-acre composting facility owned and operated by the City of Los Angeles in Lakeview Terrace. The site takes horse manure, household yard trimmings, and woody material that is converted to compost, made available free to residents. This new program will generate fees from waste haulers and also allow for the packaging and selling of bags of fertilizer in local nurseries, generating an extra $60,000 a year. This innovative program will literally turn waste into cash. And if I can go off my notes, I want to say that this effort was salvation to the Northeast San Fernando Valley, in particular when the manure collection businesses stopped operating in the Northeast San Fernando Valley. It was this project that enabled the Northeast Valley equestrian community to have a place to take their manure. So I personally want to thank the Bureau of Sanitation as well.
Yes.
Ron, this is not an endorsement.
One more time.
This picture may not be used for endorsement purposes.
Right. You're up.
Well, once again, we recognize the Department of Public Works, the Bureau of Engineering, and the Department of Sanitation for another great project. This one is the Fats, Oils, and Grease Digestion Pilot Project at the Hyperion Treatment Plant. which has included the collection of fats, oils, and greases from selected local restaurants and then delivered to the Bureau of Sanitation's Hyperion plant near LAX. There, the fats, oils, and grease are processed to yield biogas, which is then converted to electricity by the DWP. Over 10 million cubic feet of biogas has been converted to provide power for nearly 50 homes for a year. This program exemplifies powerful thinking, and with full adoption, annual savings could reach $2.9 million, along with cleaner sewers and less fats, oils, and grease in our landfills. Congratulations to the Bureau of Engineering and Sanitation for this award.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Next presentation, Community Development Department, redesign of the CDD Human Services Delivery System into the Family Source Program. Community Development Department, CDD. They're coming down. The Community Development Department consolidated 3 of 5 human services programs into the Family Source Program, which resulted in increased efficiency and better customer service for our most needy residents. Families that participated in the new Family Source Program increased their collective incomes by $17.3 million. More than 2,700 young people participated in the increased academic achievement program. This consolidation led to a savings of more than $1.6 million annually. Congratulations to the Community Development Department for this wonderful award. CDD. All right, congratulations. Mr. Englander. Mr. Englander? Mr. Englander, you're up for the Los Angeles City Employees Retirement System. Mr. Englander. If he's not going to be here, we will. There he is. Mr. Englander, the Los Angeles City Employees Retirement System. Number 9.
Thank you very much. Recognizing the Los Angeles City Employees Retirement System, the Early Retirement Reissuance Program, a 2009 federal program that reimburses a portion of medical claims for early retirees and their dependents. LACER's participation in this federal program allows retirees to receive $3.8 million in first-round reimbursements. This project illustrates flexible and effective management and the ability to adapt to meet new opportunities that benefit city employees in a timely manner. LACERS estimates that approximately $2.6 million will be applied toward lowering medical subsidy costs, and the remainder of the $3.8 million will be applied to offset increased member premium costs. And for that, we congratulate the LACERS board and their staff on this well-deserved award. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Come on in here. Here, come on. Well, why don't we open this up?
It's not theirs, unfortunately.
We'll cover the name.
Who's going to All right, here we go.
Sanitation stole theirs.
Okay, doke. Paul, you're done, Mitch.
Well, with a bad pun, this is the Stamping Out the Cost of Postage Training Award. City Attorney's Office and General Services Department. New educational seminars centered on postage savings have encouraged departments to revise methods of mail preparation. The training provides information on postal service mailing criteria, improved methods of mail preparation, the adoption of automation technology, compliance with government requirements, and the application of best practices. This joint citywide mail training by the City Attorney's Office and GSD Mail Services staff will save city departments more than $1 million in postage costs per year. Congratulations to the Office of the City Attorney and the General Services Department for this award.
Come on in for photo time. Photo time. Well, you want to be in the picture? Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Don't be
it.
hiding. Don't be hiding. Don't be hiding. Here we go. Come on. Don't be hiding. Don't be hiding. That's 3 more. 4 more. 5 more. Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And our final goes to the Emergency Management Intern Program for the Emergency Management Department, the interns. And I did see this program in operation. Through this project, the Emergency Management Department found a creative and cost-efficient way to train young professionals in the department's operations. The internship program recruited graduate and senior class students to participate in emergency planning, disaster operations, communications, and community preparedness. Emergency Management Department has been able to reach emergency management goals that meet local, state, and federal requirements in an extremely cost-effective manner. Interns have collectively contributed 1,500 hours of work to the program and to the department, which has resulted in salary savings of tens of thousands of dollars. In addition to the salary savings, this program has been critical in advancing the work of the Emergency Management Department in keeping the residents of Los Angeles safe. Congratulations, Emergency Management Department, for this award. They keep us safe. EMD. Congratulations.
You have done us proud.
Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. There you go. Right over here. 1, 2, 3. All right. All right. So that concludes the presentation for the departments. We want to recognize them. Let's congratulate them one more time for all the good work that was done. On behalf of the taxpayers of the City of Los Angeles, thank our Quality and Productivity Commission, the commissioners for the fine work they've done. And with that, Mr. President, I have one more presentation to make to Los Angeles World Airport. If you can come forward, please. Airport Police Officer Nicholas Fesche. Come on down with your representatives from the Airport Police. Los Angeles World Airport, Van Nuys, LA, Ontario. They are police officers that patrol the airport grounds and surrounding area. And what happened this particular day is very inspiring to public safety personnel. This officer, who lives in Lomita, 7-year veteran of the Los Angeles Airport Police, on July 7th, 2011, and Bill Rosendahl, that's what you're supposed to come up here and join me. July 7th, 2011, at around 11 o'clock, Officer Fesche. Officer Fesche, Nicholas Fesche, was patrolling the perimeter of Los Angeles International Airport. He was flagged down by a citizen and alerted to a possible rape in progress near the Renaissance Hotel at 98th and Airport Boulevard. Immediately responded, approached the situation, and he apprehended the suspect, who was raping an unconscious female. Suspect was taken into custody, booked for rape at the LAPD Pacific Division, while the victim was transported to a nearby hospital. We want to recognize Officer Fesche for his quick action that resulted in the apprehension of a rapist and for his commitment to public safety. I became aware of the situation and thought it was appropriate for us to recognize and honor Officer Nicholas Fesche for this heroic effort that put a rapist in jail and saved the life of a woman who at that time was unconscious. And I'm going to have my colleague, Mr. Rosendahl, in a moment. But if Officer Fesche can give any more detail on this particular tragedy that you helped save a life, come forward.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Then
Thank
we'll
you.
hear from Mr. Bill.
I'd like to thank the City Council for giving me this award. Pretty much that's what happened. I was flagged down doing a perimeter check, and it was a male transient raping an unconscious female on the side of the hotel. I was able to take him into custody, and my colleagues came, backed me up, and we set up a nice little perimeter and we were able to contain the scene for the 6 crime detectives, and he was taken into custody.
Very good.
Yeah, officer, let me just say this. The cooperation between LAPD and the airport could not be better than this incident here. The fact that the policing forces coordinate, work together, and care about not just the airport, but the community around the airport is why Westchester loves you guys so much, and I love you so much. That kind of cooperation, that kind of awareness, that kinds of engagement truly makes us proud of the men and women that serve us. And you are a hero to me and to my constituents. Bless you and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And when someone, let me just add, when someone sees an individual in a uniform with a badge, with a weapon, in a marked vehicle, with a light bar on top, they don't care if they're LAPD, airport police, sheriff, highway patrol, they don't care. What they do care about is someone needs help, and this officer came to help an individual who was in desperate need of help in the city of Los Angeles. So whatever agency they represent, they're there protecting and serving, and we want to acknowledge and commend you for that action to get that rapist off the street, put him where he belongs, and to bring this to a satisfactory conclusion. So the work that you folks do every single day has to be recognized for the public safety that airport police and all the other agencies working together. And in these times of terrorism, we know we need to work together more than ever before. So congratulations to you, to your command staff that's here, your colleagues that are here. We want to acknowledge one more time Officer Feshi for his work, for the Los Angeles World Airport Police for doing a great job. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize Mr. Wesson for...
Thank you. Pardon me?
I'm recognizing Mr. Wesson for our next presentation.
Okay, let's go. We'll take some pictures. We're going to go back and do some photos.
Yes, Mr. Parks?
I would just like to comment on this, the productivity, and thank Mr. Turner and Mr. Jones from the 8th District to represent 8th District on this committee.
Thank you. We're proud to work with you to make those appointments real. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I can assure you that this presentation will be brief. It was my intention to try to find churro. Is churro? Maybe I should have Ed Reyes come and roll the R's for me, but this is churro, and he was at the West Valley shelter. He's a terrier mix, and a wonderful thing happened while I was waiting to come before you to try to get him adopted. He got adopted already. He will be going home with Mendana of the CLA's office. So one of our own. Let's give Mendana a round of applause for being a new mom. And I just wanted to get up for a second to say to anyone that might be watching or listening that we have hundreds of companion animals like this at our shelter. Please don't hesitate to come and visit us and take one of these little guys or one of these little girls home. When you adopt one of our pets, you save their life. So anyway, Churro has a family, and I'm going to let the two of them get together. And he's so laid back, I think she got a steal. Anyway, thank you, Mr. President and members.
Thank you very much. Congratulations on that as well. Mr. Rosendahl?
Mr. President, and also, I'm sorry, I was joined by Joe of Animal Services, and I hadn't seen Joe in a long time, but she's a volunteer, and she holds the dogs, so I don't have to worry about them doing anything unique to one of my suits.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wesson. Mr. Rosendahl?
Come on up, cyclists. Your moment in the sun.
We're in the sun every day.
Yeah, we're in the sun. Got a little bit too much sun last weekend. Yeah. Too much sun last weekend?
Good quality. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good, great. Close her up. Okay, thank you, Mr. President. You know, we do all kinds of pomp and circumstances here. Some of it is extremely impactful, like having the Pope of the Armenian religion. That was pretty awesome. But this is also awesome. I want to honor a group of cyclists who showed an international audience that bikes are a truly viable mode of transportation in the city of Los Angeles. We've come a long way with cycling. I'm tired of the car culture. we are a multicultural situation: pedestrians, cyclists, mass transit, and the automobile. In my hands, I have 18 certificates of recognition for the Los Angeles cyclists who challenged a JetBlue passenger jet in a dramatic crosstown race from Burbank to Long Beach. The cyclists beat the jet to Long Beach, believe it or not, in 1 hour and 34 minutes. You know, at the airport, they got to go through this, that, and the other before they can even take up. The event played out on a variety of multimedia platforms around the world, including Facebook and Twitter. The event was inspired by the weekend known as Carmageddon, July 16th through the 18th. JetBlue offered a discount fare when Metro and Caltrans shut down a 10-mile stretch of the 405 on LA's west side to safely diminish a portion of the Mulholland Bridge. You may recall we warned Angelenos to stay close to home and avoid the freeway system during the weekend of that demolition. People listened. Instead of cars, many rode bicycles to explore the city and enjoy activity around their community. In fact, I got so excited about it, I rode a bike first time I had in 30 years. I put on the helmet, and when we have more safe routes, I'm going to be out there riding a bike more and more and more. Now, I'm going to give it to Don Roadblock Ward, who was one of the coordinators of it. He goes by the nickname Roadblock, but we also have all the certs for everybody else, and we want each person to just come up and say their name, and we'll give the cert in the back. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, I would like to applaud the efforts of the local cycling community in the Flight versus Bike Challenge. Team Wolfpack Hustle beat a Blue Jet flight from Burbank to Long Beach in 1 hour and 34 minutes and proved to the international audience that bikes are truly a viable mode of transportation in Southern California. And some of you might know that we just did a motion that we just circulated around folks about creating an ordinance to establish a bike plan trust fund to be administered by the Department of Transportation in coordination with the Department of City Planning to receive and disperse funds, including developer contributions for the design and implementation of improvements identified in the city's 2010 bike plan. Expenditures of the fund shall be authorized by the City Council. So we've got a new motion, folks. And in fact, I'm happy to do it today in honor of you being here so that we can get funds and we can get money together and really make cycling a viable part of our multicultural strategy here for transportation. Come on up and say a few words, big guy. I can look up at somebody here.
Well, I just wanted to say that it's an honor for all of us to be here. Thank you to the City Council and especially to this guy right here who we took him out for a bike ride a couple months ago. It's been a long time for him, but he was really jamming. So it was definitely an exciting thing to see happen, and it's exciting to see the City Council actually acknowledge something like this. It's I've been coming here for probably 4 or 5 years and watching this sort of glacial process of transforming our streets into a friendlier environment for cyclists. So one of the things that I wanted to acknowledge about our group here is that this is a very diverse group of people that come together for our bicycle community. I mean, you should see the Facebook discussions. We've got all the political leanings, we've got all the philosophical leanings happening in our bike community. But the one thing that we've all united around, and that kind of exemplifies what this race was, is that the bike community is united in fun. And that's what keeps us coming back and what keeps us energetic about the idea of riding a bicycle for transportation. It's fun. That's right. And we want to see the City Council, we want to see all you guys out there joining us. Los Angeles, join us in our fun, and let's get healthy. Let's work on the environment. Let's make it cheaper to maintain our roads, and let's just enjoy this fun together.
Great. Here you go, big guy. Okay. Big smile. One quickie. Okay. Now, would everybody just say your name in the mic, and then we'll go in the back.
Do I get to say something as well?
Yeah, just say.
Hi there. My name is Fabian Vasquez.
I'm definitely one of the youngest people here, and cycling has really done a lot of positive things in my life. So I fully support changing the roads and helping cycling become a bigger part in Los Angeles.
Great.
Thank you.
Joe Anthony, thank you.
Jennifer Beatty.
Ezra Horn, thank you.
John Budnoff.
Stephen Roulier.
Aram Delalian, thanks.
Stefan Andranian.
Gary Kavanaugh.
Megan Kavanaugh.
Edward Serrano.
Is that everybody? Okay, round of applause for everybody. Thank you very much, Mr. President. We'll come in the back and take a group photo with all these certs.
Our next presentation will be by Council President Eric Garcetti. And we only have about 10 more presentations today, so sit back and relax. Well, one. I put a 0 behind the 1. Only 1 after this.
It is now our time, so we can blame him. Come on up. We have saved the very best here. Thank you very much, Mr. President. And today, I'm very proud, and I know there's going to be some other council members who I'm sure will chime in to honor a great public servant, a great police officer, a great Angelino, and a member of our city family, Captain Joseph Mariani, who has served the people of Los Angeles for more than 38 years with great distinction. He's gotten to know Los Angeles well during his career, having served in the Northeast, where we were able to work together and do some amazing things, a turnaround really of a community. Mr. Reyes also was, of course, and Mr. Huizar, I know is not with us, saw that turnaround and what that leadership did to take communities that had been really under the yoke of gangs and crime for a long time, where people now can stroll at night and see a safe community that they didn't dream was possible. But it's not just in the Northeast where he's had that impact. Wilshire, Hollenbeck, West Los Angeles. And in addition to the many places he served and noteworthy achievements, he served as commanding officer of recruitment and employment at a time when we have grown the police department to the strongest level it has ever been. His leadership skills there and lively personality, for all of us who know him, has been something that has enhanced efficiency and effectiveness in the division, not only increasing hiring goals by 25%, but being instrumental in developing the RAND Corporation's plan to streamline the department's hiring policies. We know that there are 10,000 police officers out there, but we also know there are 4 million residents of the city of Los Angeles who can partner with those officers and make the difference. And quite often, if we're able to recruit from our communities, as we've been able to do, those officers that understand the neighborhoods, come from the neighborhoods, look like the neighborhoods, speak the languages of the neighborhoods, that is something that will transform our city for the better as it has been. And I am convinced that we have now the safest city that we have had in decades, and certainly the safest since I've ever lived here, because Captain Mariani was able to help hire 2,000 recruits and bring people in that have now been the face of the new LAPD. Captain Mariani was recognized by the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and his career with Los Angeles Police Department has earned him over 80 commendations and letters of appreciation from Angelinos grateful for his bravery, for his judgment, for his attention to duty, and for his commitment to law enforcement. He embodies what we want our police officers and our leaders to be. And I know that we, because of a very busy schedule today, we had previously we had Jose Perez and Terry Hara and Gloria Gluby, and we still have David Doan, who still is with LAPD for 2 more weeks. Not that he's counting or anything, but we're honored to have, I think, both the command staff and the rank and file and fellow leaders who have served with Captain Mariani to be with him today, because he is here not only as a police officer, but as a family man, as a father, as a husband, and as a great Angelino. So we could have given you one, but we decided you might have two different places in the house you want to decorate. So we actually have two resolutions for you, a little small one just from me and a larger one from all of the City Council. And I hope that you will join me in saluting a great police officer and a great Angelino, Captain Joseph Mariani, on the occasion of his retirement. Thank you. Hey, guys. You got two, right? Two for the price of one. And you take as long as you want. Absolutely.
Good morning, and thank you. At the request...
Hold on a second, Cap. Mr. Parks and Mr. LaBonge want to speak, so if we can let them speak, and then you can give the closing comments. Mr. Parks and then Mr. LaBonge.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Joe, I just want to say congratulations. 38 years is a long, long time. But I also want to say thank you to the family who allowed Joe to prosper. And I know he missed a couple of dinners and a couple other things, but he also put forth that effort to make LAPD what it is today. And that recruitment effort is monumental. It's very, very tough to go out and find 2,000 people. It is very, very tough to find 2,000 qualified people that are going to make a career in the Los Angeles Police Department. So that's something that you should always be proud of. And I just want to say thank you for that time. And I'm sure you're going to be continuing to do things because LAPD officers never, ever retire. They just go and do something else. And so thank you for that work effort. And certainly glad to see that you're retiring in good health. Take advantage of it and certainly look forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you very much.
Mr. LaBonge.
I just learned of your great travels, which is good, to see the world, which is so important. And what you learned in the world of Los Angeles certainly had an impact. And your wonderful family, I know your son and the great work that he does, which is so key, and your daughter. So I thank you, Mr. Garcetti. It's a good day. It's a good day. 38 years is a lot of days that you gave to the city of Los Angeles, wearing the best badge of any police officer in the world. So I'm happy, and as Chief Parks, I'll say, and Councilmember Parks said, the recruitment and the qualified candidates and all that, and the work you did in the areas is a great testament to your desire and dedication. I want you to have a great, great, great retirement, whatever you choose to do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
Captain, it's now, I just want to offer my congratulations. I've known you many, many years. You've always had a great smile, a great family, inspiration to many, many people of the department. You got 38 years of service, and you could go to the academy and put a recruit uniform on. They think you're a new recruit. So obviously you've done well with it. Congratulations. Your turn.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is truly a humbling experience, and I am so grateful to this great city that has really been a major part of my life. Best decision my dad ever made in 1960 was to move our family from New York here, where I was raised in Los Angeles, schooled in Los Angeles, and ultimately came back to public service here in Los Angeles. I was reflecting just real quickly. In 1963, when I was a third grader at Manchester Elementary School, I was brought in here to this room, and my third grade teacher told us, you know, you can work for the city. There's so many opportunities. You can be a firefighter, a police officer, city council member, and some of our police officers have done both. And I am so pleased and grateful that I had this opportunity. This is a great city. And as I hired these last 4 years, you know, our motto is to protect and serve. But there is no more noble profession than to serve. And as I looked at candidates and I looked at people that we were hiring, that I always looked at that and said, you know what, I want people that understand the priority of service, because that's what makes the difference. So thank you all very much. God bless you all, and God bless the city of Los Angeles.
Great story. Talk about it.
Very well. Congratulations to you and your great family. And now photo time. Mr. Englander.
11. We passed on consent. I just had a question. First, I need it forthwith. It was relating to the Onion Field killer that killed a police officer in 1953.
Right.
And I just wanted to find out, now that we've voted and passed that resolution, is there a process to get that information to the parole board in an expedited manner so they're aware of the position that we took?
Mr. Clerk, Can you respond to that, Mr. City Attorney?
I can respond to that.
Mr. Garcetti.
Yeah, we'll make sure there's a direct communication from the council. My office can take care of that. No problem. Absolutely. And we just wanted real quick, Mr. President, for Mariani family to be introduced as well, with the in-law especially added to that.
Thank you very much. And my bad. I'd like to introduce first and foremost my best partner ever, my source of motivation, my wife of 30 years, Grace Mariani. Pride and joy of our lives together. My son, Joseph Jr., who is the operations manager of the Hollywood Business Improvement District with the Heart for Service as well. And the newest addition to our clan, my daughter-in-law, they were married 2 years ago, who is also committed to city service and serves as a recruitment director for City Year LA. Thank you very much.
Mr. Clerk, I think we shall proceed to the next item, please.
Very good. That takes council back to items called special or public comment on items not on council's agenda.
All right. Which one do we want? Which one would we like to go with? Let's go public comment. We'll do public comment since the folks have been waiting for a bit. It's now 12 o'clock. General public comment. Marlon Calderon, President. Marlon Calderon, you here? Marlon Calderon, not here. J.D. Smith. J.D. Smith. Bobby Cooper. Are you Mr. Cooper?
Smith.
Excuse me, Mr. Smith?
J.D. Smith, yes.
J.D. Smith, okay, sir, go ahead.
Thank you. Again, my name is J.D. Smith, and I've been here 3 times in the last week. Now, the reason I've been here is because this item is very important to my community, where the unemployment is over 20%. Now, I'm here to talk about Bernard's Construction, who was given a $61,500,000 contract by LADWP. Bernard Construction has broken the LADWP laws. They have also broken the laws of the Los Angeles City Council as written in the Good Faith Effort outreach program. They discriminated against us, a small local business. Bernard Construction has had information from the LADWP that other contractors did not have. That means LADWP was favoring Bernard Construction Company. That alone is breaking the California Public Contract Code. LADWP did not adhere to this code to ensure the elimination of favoritism, fraud, or corruption in awarding this public contract to Bernard Construction as set forth in Section 100 of this code. The information my company and other bidders on this Owens Lake project did not have was the 10% contingency that LADWP added on to Bernard's final bid number after the bids were announced, between $8 and $10 million. This money covers all unknown above and underground.
Go ahead and conclude, sir.
Surprises that may come up. That is why Bernard's bids came in $6 million below the next lower bidder. All this is breaking the laws. I'm asking at this time that we allow this contract to have a hearing because laws were broken.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Arnold Sachs. So I gave you your time and then I gave you extra time. So Mr. Sachs is next, followed by Carla Weber, Michael Hubman, and Bobby Cooper. So, Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Good morning or good afternoon, Arnold Sachs. Quality Productivity Commission. On Wednesday was the fraud, waste, and abuse item on the agenda. The only thing missing was the ethics. And we know how ethical the City Council is because of the lies perpetrated by the Council to add a third term. Now, let's see. We had a couple items on the newspaper. This is from the September 24th. Here's a wide open item. Will ads on trash trucks pay off? The Board of Public Works on Friday recommended approval of a pilot program that would turn 500 of the city's 774 trash trucks into mobile billboards. The advertising would be handled by Roadway Displays Incorporated, based in Ramona, California. Company President Dennis Barnett said the pilot program represents a new product for his firm as well. My only concern would be that this is an open and fair process, said Bob Stern, Executive Director of the Center for Government Studies. So in an open and firm way, and because we had the bus benches here, when was that contract awarded? When was the request for proposals put out? How could they approve this program, a pilot program, and not have a request for proposal regarding the contract? Well, open and transparent it is. Let's not forget to congratulate Honest Jan Perry for the $1 million she got for the architectural firm from CDBG funds. And the rest of the council members, the other 14 members, have $1 million. How about $1 million for the Iowa Battleship program? And this procurement item. Suppose a contract is awarded to a company that lives located in L.A. and they move outside. What about the Coliseum situation where a P.O. box is used
Carla
for
Weber
a contract?
is our next speaker. Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Your time is up, sir. Carla Weber. Ms. Weber, thank you very much. Followed by Michael Hubman and Bobby Cooper. Go ahead. Ma'am?
Hi. Hi, I've never done this before. So my name is Carla Weber, and I live in the 10th District, and I live on Washington Boulevard between Hauser and Carmona, and I've been there for over 35 years. I'm an artist. And recently, well, actually about 2 years ago, I became friends with a recent someone who had moved into the area to start a business as a doggy care business 2 doors away. And I wrote an article about her for a small newspaper called the Neighborhood News. And over the couple years, she has, expressed to me her concern over getting harassed by an individual that actually lives between us. And I've been very sympathetic because I've actually had the same experience as she has, where the police have been called, building safety has been called, zoning departments have been called, and I'm actually getting very concerned because this particular neighbor has exhibited signs of I don't know, she's become very aggressive in her campaign to destroy my neighbor's doggy business. So I just came on her behalf to plead with the council to really look into this because it's getting very serious. I've had 10 years of experience with this neighbor, so I know what she's like. She's called various departments on me as well. And do I need to give more information? Yeah, okay. So I just felt it was really important to do this as a community member. I've also, because I've lived in the area and I know how important it is to be friends with your community, because I was there for the riots, I was there for the earthquake, so I know how important it is to keep these ties together. And this woman is just,
Go ahead, you can finish, ma'am.
Okay. Where do I go?
You have a finishing statement if you want to make that?
Yeah, please
go ahead.
help.
All right, please help. We got that. Thank you. Mr. Krikorian is going to discuss that with you. Michael Hubman? Michael, you're next up. 2 minutes on the clock.
My name is Michael Waterman Hubman. I'm a human rights, homeless rights, and right to share food activist. Good morning, Mr. President, Los Angeles City Council. Today's economic justice moment, I would like to quote Senator Bernie Sanders. In this country, if this country is to break out of this horrendous recession, we are going to have to create a financial stability for the future. The American people are going to have to take a very hard look at Wall Street and demand fundamental reforms. Let us never forget that as a result of the greed, recklessness, illegal behavior on Wall Street, this country was plunged into the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. Millions of Americans lost their jobs, homes, and life savings as the middle class underwent an unprecedented collapse. Wait a minute. An unprecedented collapse. When the middle class collapse, where do they go? I know. They fall through the cracks and join the underclass. And this Wall Street, what is that? Is this some kind of nebulous scarecrow or boogeyman? Oh no, it's a group of giant multinational corporations, banks, the likes of Goldman, Citi, Chase, Bank of America, and super rich individuals. Maybe that is the 1% everybody is talking about. Now back to Bernie Sanders. Now the middle class is collapsing and a record-breaking 46 million Americans are living in poverty. Wait a minute. 46 million Americans in poverty? I wish Obama could say the words poverty or poor people. Hell, I wish they would vote. Well, that's about it. And please remember, when the middle class is getting hammered, the underclass is getting killed. Thank you very much, and viva economic justice.
Bobby Cooper. I understand that Marlon Calderon has returned. We called you once, we'll call you twice, but we won't call you a third time.
Thank you very much.
Pardon me, Mr. Englander? Hold on a second. Mr. Englander has a question. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir. You have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Council Member President and members of the City Council. My name is Marlon Calderon. I'm the president of the Metropolitan Los Angeles branch of the American Society of Civil Engineers. Behind me are my fellow civil engineers, and we're here to thank the Los Angeles City Council and the Mayor Villaraigosa for working to adopt a resolution proclaiming today, Friday, October 14th, 2011, as American Society of Civil Engineers Day, and encouraging all Angelenos to recognize the contributions of ASCE professionals to maintaining and improving their quality of life. Civil engineers touch many aspects of our everyday lives, from the water you use to brush your teeth in the morning to the road you drive on to work. Civil engineers design and build the system that brings us water and power. They also build the bridges, roads, airports, buildings, and all the public works that keeps the city thriving. Money invested in essential public works can create jobs, provide an economic growth, and ensure public safety. As with any investment, a solid return is essential to long-term growth. Dedicating resources to our local power grid, water pipes, transportation networks, and other critical infrastructure systems will create and support the economy in a real and measurable ways, and the impact will be long-lasting. We commend this council chamber for your support of past and ongoing bond measures in the city, including Proposition K, Prop O, Prop F, and others. And on behalf of approximately 4,000 members of the Metropolitan Los Angeles branch of ASCE, I and my fellow board members would like to thank the mayor and the city council for recognizing the contributions of civil engineers. It is important that our elected officials continue supporting infrastructure investment for the future of our city. Thank you very much.
Mr. LaBonge.
Thank the engineers, and 2 years from now we'll celebrate what is known as the greatest engineering feat, the Los Angeles Aqueduct. Thank you for all you do. Great speech. We all thank you.
Mr. Parks, then Mr. Reyes.
I would just like to comment. Mr. Smith was up for the last 2 meetings and spoke about an issue with DWP. Mr. Smith, both the 8th, 9th, and 10th District has looked into your issue. We understand that the DWP board looked into your issue and also had it in closed session, and they have approved that contract that you expressed concerns over. And so we've exhausted our ability. You don't make any comment. We've exhausted our ability to look into that issue for you.
Mr. Reyes, please.
I want to stand and applaud you for your work. There's a Colonel Toy with the Army Corps of Engineers. He has a degree in environmental engineering, and he speaks to the issue of how you are able to collapse the notion of working with nature and engineering strategies, concepts, discipline to reach results that takes us away from the harshness of the cement and asphalt that's so punitive to our environment. So I'm hoping that there is that trend or that way of thinking that gives us that range of flexibilities so we can bring back some of our ecosystems and protect our ocean and our waterways as the urban slaughter continues to increase with the increase of population. So I thank you for your hard work, but I just thought that was an interesting title, environmental engineer, because some folks might think that's contradictory. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you. Mr. Reyes, thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Yes, sir. If you have no more cards, that would conclude general public comment.
General public comment is closed.
That brings us to item number 8, called Special for Cards.
Mr. Sachs, number 8, 2 minutes on the clock.
Yes, thank you. Good morning or good afternoon again. Arnold Sachs. These resolutions for various properties from the rent escrow account program. Since the City Council is so absorbed in making motions and amendments to the ordinances in the city, and based on the activities going on around the City Hall, where people are living in tents, I was just wondering if the fact that they're living in tents would make them eligible for any kind of rent escrow account program. Would they be in violation of the? Would they be?
Mr. President, he's not talking about item 8.
Mr. Sachs, you need to stay on the subject or conclude your comments.
We're just talking about. I'm talking about REIT violations. Item 8. Item 8. No, it's not item 8.
This is the Housing, Community, Economic Development communication from the chair on the CRA.
You're right. I'm sorry. I didn't put a card on 6.
Okay, sometimes we lose track, but it's all right.
I'm sorry. The Community Redevelopment Agency. It would be nice if we got from the Community Redevelopment Agency what properties are left in the city to be redeveloped. You know, there's a real situation with the convention center, the new portion of the convention center being built on what property. And then there's the parking garage. Oh, wait. The foundation for the Broad Museum that's being built with CRA funds. But it was presented to this council and to the public as a parking garage without any mention of it being the foundation that the Broad Museum would actually be sitting on. So it would be nice to get that kind of clarification from the open, ethical, and fair-minded City Council.
All right, thank you very much, and have a good weekend. Mr. Clerk, on this item, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Next item, please.
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
Post and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused from Council on November 15 and 16 due to city business. That meets Council policy.
That is approved.
And Councilmember Rosendahl requests to arrive at 11:15 on October 19 due to city business. A motion is required.
A motion by Mr. Labange. Seconded by Mr. Parks.
The desk is clear.
All right. Announcements, colleagues. Mr. Rosendahl, or announcements?
Yes, this weekend we got a lot of fun happening in the 11th District. On October 15th from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock over on Slauson in Delray, the Mar Vista Family Center is having their annual Family Festival, which provides an opportunity for residents to get out and get to know their community and for visitors experiencing Delray. There will be games, music, performance, and dancing, and food for sale. The Mar Vista Family Center is a nonprofit organization that provides quality early childhood education and youth enrichment for low-income families. Also in the West Side, in my district, the Mar Vista Fall Festival. Now, this is an incredible park, 19-acre park we have there, and it's going to be the theme, our future, and talks about what our kids' life will be like, and we're going to honor Diana, who runs the farmers market. I'm going to be speaking there at about 1 o'clock on Saturday, but it's a huge festival at the Mar Vista Park. So we invite you to come on out and enjoy the beautiful parks in both Delray and in Mar Vista. Thank you, Mr. President.
What's the weather forecast?
The weather forecast is going to be a little less hot, thank God for that, but it's going to be very pleasant and perfect time to be in a park and enjoying the activities, meeting your neighbors, and having fun.
Thank you, Weatherman, Mr. Bill Rosendahl. And number 5, Mr. Clerk, please forthwith on number 5.
Very good, sir.
Mr. Parks?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to advise the public of a couple of important events on October the 20th at the Ron Deaton Civic Center at the Civic Auditorium at LAPD's Administration Building, 100 West 1st Street. The LA Housing Department will be having their rent escrow account REAP building workshop, and we invite the public, particularly those that are landlords. Also, I'd like to invite the entire city to the Taste of Soul that's going to be held on Crenshaw Boulevard between King and Rodeo Road between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. on Saturday, October the 15th. This is something that is viewed as the largest street festival in the city. And then finally, NAACP Inglewood South Bay will be having their annual Freedom Fund luncheon Saturday, October the 15th, and that's at the Proud Bird.
And Mr. Parks is inviting 4 million people to that, all of Los Angeles. Mr. Reyes.
It's gonna be a great event.
It will be.
Just want to invite the public to a specific plan draft EIR meeting, Environmental Impact Report, on the Cornfield Arroyo Seco Specific Plan, otherwise known as a CASP. We'll be transforming about 650 acres into housing, jobs, and open space. This workshop for the CASP will be Saturday, October, tomorrow, 15th, over at the Goodwill in San Fernando Road in Lincoln Heights. So I welcome everybody to be there. It starts at 9. It will go to 1 o'clock.
9 to 1. Thank
10
you,
to
Mr.
noon.
Reyes.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
This went dark on me.
All right. Let's go to this side. Mr. Koretz.
Yes. One of many wonderful events this weekend is the 21st annual Sherman Oaks Street Fair hosted by the Sherman Oaks Chamber of Commerce. It takes place from 10 to 6 p.m. on Ventura Boulevard between Kester and Van Nuys Boulevard, as activities for children and adults, hundreds of vendors, kids rides, a number of other things. It's always great fun, so hope people in the area will come to that and enjoy themselves.
Mr. Labange, you want my attention?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to make announcements after Mr. Koretz. This Sunday, AIDS Walk will take place in West Hollywood, which walks through Los Angeles, a great celebration of the fight by all against that vicious disease and awareness of HIV/AIDS. So we welcome everybody to come out and support AIDS Walks Los Angeles, which originally started at Wilshire and Western, and later was at Paramount Pictures for many years, and now is seated in West Hollywood. It walks through the streets of Los Angeles as well. Also on Sunday the 16th, the absolute best place to be if you have children and you like Thomas the Tank is Travel Town. It's Depot Day at Travel Town in Griffith Park, the largest concentration of rail equipment in the United States. So if you have young children, come to Travel Town anytime during the day for Depot Day 2011, Travel Town in Griffith Park.
Thank you. Mr. Krikorian?
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd like to ask that item 5 be sent to the mayor forthwith, please.
We did that.
Okay, it was forthwith?
That was requested,
okay,
yes.
Good. Also, I'd like to announce that on Sunday, beginning at 8 a.m., there will be a 5K run walk in honor of Connor Lynch, who many of you will recall was tragically killed in front of Notre Dame High School when he was struck by a car and killed. His family has created a foundation dedicated to educating young people about pedestrian and bicycling safety, and there will be a 5K in his honor to help support that foundation. It will be beginning at 8 a.m. at Van Nuys Sherman Oaks Park, and the public is very, very welcome to attend.
Thank you. Any other announcements, colleagues? Mr. Reyes, another one.
I want to thank Councilman Garcia for reminding me, over at the Cornfield, the state, Rio Los Angeles State Park, we have the 5th annual Copa COFEM Community Fair that starts at 10:30. And thanks for reminding me. Sunday.
Mr. Labange, once again.
And also, you would know, because you did so much in your district in memory of Randy Simmons with his park day. But
yes.
Tomorrow is the Randy Simmons Memorial Run, starting at the Police Academy in Elysian Park, LAPD Academy at 8 a.m. for Randy Simmons. Let's never forget that great officer from Metropolitan Division.
SWAT officer.
Yes.
LAPD SWAT officer. Any other announcements, colleagues? Adjourning motions. We have adjourning motions. We'll start with Mr. Garcetti. Mr. Garcetti, please stand in the council chambers. Stand for adjourning motions. Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It's with great sadness that I ask that we adjourn today in memory of Avram Chill, who was the husband of West Joe in Silver Lake, and Mr. Labange sure will want to second this with me. He passed away on October 12th. He was born and raised in Chicago, something of a radical. He participated in the 1968 demonstrations at the Democratic Convention there, but graduated from the University of Chicago and would have liked to pursue rabbinic studies. However, that wasn't an option for an openly gay man at the time. So he eventually moved out here to Los Angeles, was an incredibly accomplished pianist, and he performed a few solo fundraisers for his temple, BCC. But he was a social worker for many years. He and his husband, West Joe, were together for 29 years and legally married in 2008. In his last years, he was finally approved as a rabbinic student with the Alephik Renewal Movement. And Avram was one of the founders of the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council. In the last months, he was a regular at the Silver Lake Dog Park with Wes's Australian coolie named Ellie, but somebody who was always active in the life of Silver Lake and beyond. He and Wes helped us do everything from recognizing the black cat, now known as Labarcito, which before Stonewall happened was an area in which there was a crackdown by LAPD and people stood up for their rights. And Avram was a great, great Silver Laker, Angelino, and American. May he rest in peace.
I want to second that.
Seconded by Mr. Rosendahl and Mr. Labange. Adjourning motions, colleagues. Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm very sad to have to report, I know many of you knew Larry Zarian, and Larry Zarian was a true Renaissance man and a friend to many of us who passed away yesterday. Larry Zarian was a resident of Glendale for over 50 years. He was a family man, a very successful businessman, a public servant, community leader, radio talk show host, television host, sought-after MC for every kind of community event because of his bigger-than-life personality and his sense of humor. He was known in Glendale as the People's Mayor because he served for 16 consecutive years on the Glendale City Council and 4 terms as its mayor. Larry was just a few days short of his 74th birthday, which would have been next week. He was born in Iran to Serge and Tamara and immigrated to the United States as a 14-year-old boy with his mother and his sister Rima. As a child growing up in Iran and here, Larry was always intrigued with Hollywood and dreamed of being a cowboy in a Hollywood movie. So with only $20 in his pocket, he came here to Southern California to begin his life's journey here. Larry graduated from Glendale Community College and went on to UCLA. He was a proud Bruin, graduated with a degree in political science, and actually had a successful career in addition to everything else as a professional boxer. After his boxing career of 13 wins, Larry married Doris, and together they began their family and their long and happy life together. At 43, Larry became semi-retired from business and began devoting full attention to public service. And that's when he began his service on the Glendale City Council. He was the longest-seated member of the Glendale City Council in the city's history and the first member of that council of Armenian descent. He was a champion of business, champion of transportation, of health. He was on the governing board of the Glendale Adventist Medical Center, and was appointed by countless presidents, governors, and others to important positions in transportation, highway safety, airports over the last 30 years. In 1986, he was appointed by President Reagan to serve on the National Highway Safety Commission. He served as chair of the Metropolitan Transportation Agency, and most recently was commissioner on the State of California's Transportation Commission, appointed by Governor Schwarzenegger. Larry had a great show, a television show, which many of you, I think, have probably appeared on, the Larry Zarian Forum, which he's had going on radio and television since 2000. Really insightful show, not that much different than Mr. Rosenthal's old show. A really substantive, insightful show where he really engaged in conversation with opinion makers and policy makers in a very deep way, and he will be missed in that regard too. Larry was a very private man, so many of us, even though many of us who knew him well, had no idea about his long-term battle with multiple myeloma, which he had kept confidential and fought that battle courageously and quietly, but that's what ultimately took his life yesterday. Larry is survived by his sons, Vincent, Lawrence, and Gregory, and his two grandsons, Alexander and Christian. He's survived by his beloved sister, Rima, his niece and goddaughter, Ava Hakopian. His funeral services will be private, but there will be a memorial celebration of his life on November 21st, and more details will be announced. But it really truly is a great loss to Southern California, Larry Zarian. May he rest in peace. And
all members on that and other comments from colleagues on Larry's passing. Mr. Alarcon.
It's my pleasure to serve with Larry on the Metropolitan Transit Authority for a number of years, where he served as chairman. And the biography was extremely accurate, but it really doesn't paint the picture of who Larry was, because he was an incredibly dedicated official to the notion of ensuring that decisions were made, that he could bring widely divergent interests together and forge an agreement and alliances where necessary. So in a very nondescript way, he was a very capable tactician in a very diverse communities of interest at the MTA. As a Republican, he never wore his Republican credentials on his sleeve. He worked with everybody. I went on his TV show a long time ago, and he played fair with everybody. I also worked with him a little bit when I was in the state senate, but always an affable guy. He was a masterful leader, and will be missed. And we want to extend our best to his family. He lived a good life, and I know that his priority was his family, and I think that's why he had success in so many other arenas.
Thank you, Mr. Alarcon. Mr. Reyes.
Colleagues, I was very fortunate to work with Mr. Zarian when he was on the MTA, and we went through a process where, unfortunately, a maintenance charter was moved forward without the proper legal documents. We were able to challenge it. Mr. Zarian stood up for the community. He stood up for the person that felt that injustice. Even though he was in this huge bureaucracy with all these different interest groups working with the SCRA, he helped us out. He took time to listen. We were to make some agreements, and I got to see him in person. I got to see his energy, and it was just amazing to witness. I was able to manage those decisions, and I know he really wanted to see the yellow line come to fruition. The gold line goes into Pasadena. The yellow line, he wanted to go into Glendale and up into the valley, and it just didn't get there. But he fought heroically, and I'm really shocked by his demise. So my prayers to the family.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Mr. LeBlanc.
Yeah, working adjacent to Glendale, Larry Zarian was Glendale, modern Glendale, as his handprints all over it. And as others have said, he was always fair and working people together and not doing that. But if you look at our 88 cities in this county, you could put his picture right in front of that city of Glendale, that he really made an absolute difference, a positive force in local government.
Thank you, Mr. LeBlanc. Other adjourning motions, colleagues? Mr. Rosendahl, then Mr. Parks. Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. A pioneer and one of our founding fathers of the modern gay rights movement, Frank Kameny, died on Tuesday, which ironically was the National Coming Out Day across this country due to natural causes. He was 86 years old. Frank began his advocacy work after he was fired from his job as an astronomer for the Army Map Services in 1957 simply because he was gay. He challenged the firing and took the case all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. But of course, the court declined at that point to hear the case, but an activist was born. Frank would not receive a formal apology from the government for the incident until June of 2009. Frank went on to become one of the leading advocates for lesbian and gay equality. In 1961, he co-founded the Manishin Society. Many of you know that I was a good friend of Harry Hayes, who was also a co-founder with his partner John Burnside. And this group was the forerunners to the more open gay movements that came with Stonewall and other issues around, where gay people actually got together, respected each other, but very quietly because we were under the rug and under the table. And frankly, what he did created the energy that continued to grow. In 1965, he and others famously picketed outside the White House in formal attire to demand equality. Kameny also successfully worked with experts in the field to convince the American Psychiatric Association to remove homosexuality from its list of disorders in 1973. The next year, he served as co-counsel to a Defense Department employee and successfully kept him from having his security clearance revoked due to being gay. A veteran of World War II, Kameny was present for the signing of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell Repeal Act. He was overjoyed to be in attendance since he was not certain he would live to see that day. Frank Kameny was a true iconoclast and American hero that demanded fairness, equality, and respect in a time when the issue of gay rights was still taboo and the gay community was forced to hide their true selves. Frank is survived by his sister Edna and a myriad of friends, family, and all those who have benefited through his 50 years of advocacy and activism. Planning is underway for a public memorial in November in Washington. May he rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask that we adjourn in memory of retired Captain 3 Hobart Dotson, Bob Burns, Jr., who died October the 7th at his home in Northridge at the age of 89. He was born in September 1922 in Bakersfield, grew up during the Roaring '20s and the Great Depression. He honorably served the United States Coast Guard during World War II while stationed in the South Pacific. He took part in the Allied invasion of enemy-held islands, including the Allied attack on the island of Okinawa. In August 1946, he was accepted to enter the Los Angeles Police Academy, and after successfully completing the academy, he was assigned to 77th area. He was then assigned to traffic enforcement. He rode motors in November 1951, was promoted to motor sergeant. In January 53, he was promoted to motor lieutenant, and his love of motors was only second to his wife of 50 years, Gracie. In 71, Bob promoted to captain. He was assigned as a commanding officer, Southwest area. Although he loved the city of LA and LAPD, he retired in 1977 due to a heart failure. He endured 3 open heart surgeries during his lifetime, the third of which was a full heart transplant. He's survived by his wife Gracie, his daughter Karen, his 2 sons Donald and Ronald, and a host of family members, and his funeral services were held today.
May he rest in peace, and I'll join Mr. Parks on that adjourning motion. Mr. LaBonge.
Members, I'd like you to join with me in adjourning memory of Joanne Brock, who ascended into heaven last night at 9:30. Joanne was 83 years old. She was an aunt of all of ours. At one time, we had 28 aunts and uncles, and now only 1 aunt is left. Joanne was my mother's sister. She grew up in Los Angeles and went to Immaculate Heart College on Western, graduated from Notre Dame Academy. She was a great teacher, and as an aunt, she was generational, who could bridge with everybody. And she had a wonderful lunch last Friday, but felt a little ill Sunday night, went to the hospital, a little battle with cancer, but she's in heaven now, preceded to death by her husband, Ray Brock, and leaves her daughters, Sarah, Mo, and also Katie, and some grandchildren as well. Last we adjourn in memory of Joanne Brock.
May she rest in peace. Thank you, Mr. LaBonge. Any other adjourning motions, colleagues? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. We are adjourned. We will return next Tuesday. Have a lovely weekend. Many events in Los Angeles this weekend. Please enjoy.